Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. My martial arts will become an evil god. Chapter 41. Standing up from the ground, Fang Ping grinned again. Damn, do I have a mental problem? It hurts so much, but I still feel pretty cool. I felt the pain inside and outside the body due to the gradual filling of the primordial gang chi. Fang Ping is surprisingly cool. The pain is really painful, but it is also really cool. Just like those who like to exercise, they especially enjoy the soreness of their muscles after each exercise. Fang Ping feels that way now. It's just that his pain far exceeds the soreness of those gymnastics. But at this moment, Fang Ping suddenly looked at the door. Dong dong dong. The next second, there was a knock on the door. Fang Ping, come out, I've already told my friends, I'll take you to that martial arts hall now. Father Fang's voice sounded outside. Looking at his current state, especially the fierce aura around him, Fang Ping frowned. Wait a minute, I'll get dressed. He took a few deep breaths and tried his best to restrain the fierce and threatening aura on his body. Looking at the faint lines of dragon scales on his body, Fang Ping directly took a large windbreaker and put it on his body. Open the door. Go now. Fang Ping came out and asked while pulling the zipper of the windbreaker to the top. It's just that Fang's father took 2 steps back when he saw Fang Ping. Cough, yes, let's go now. Fang's father quickly turned his eyes away and coughed twice to cover up his gaffe. A flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. What was going on? Why did he feel that his son's eyes were like a sword just now? What's wrong with you? After Fang Ping tried his best to restrain his breath again, he asked in surprise. Oh, it's okay, let's go. This time, Father Fang raised his head and looked at Fang Ping again, and found that his eyes became normal again. Are you too tired and hallucinating? The confused Father Fang took Fang Ping out of the house. Drive all the way. Soon, Father Fang took Fang Ping to a place that was almost close to the outskirts of the city. I got out of the car and looked at the sign of the 3-story building in front of me. Tianin Fitness Fight Club. Isn't this a fitness club? Fang Ping asked strangely. My friend said that this was changed to conform to the trend of the times. In the past, the name here was Tianxin Fist Gym. Father Fang explained. He walked in with Fang Ping, and soon a man greeted them with a smile. Old Fang, this is your son. The young man is really strong. Father Fang also introduced with a smile. Fang Ping, this is your young uncle. Uncle Yang. Fang Ping nodded and shouted. Let's go, I've already told them. Yang Wanli said to the two with a smile. Then he took the two of them to a house from a path behind the building. The house is a bit quaint, but not dilapidated and well repaired. Fang Ping glanced around and saw that several people were practicing boxing in the yard. It's a bit like the old martial arts gym. Uncle Lin, this is my friend Fang Shuiliang, and this is his son Fang Ping. Yang Wanli said to the old man in the yard who was teaching the young people to practice boxing. Is that why you want to learn boxing? The old man surnamed Lin came over and asked Fang Ping. Yes, Fang Ping nodded. He could feel that although the old man in front of him looked quite thin, his physique was far stronger than that of ordinary people. It feels a bit like the old man Shu. You're in good shape, take off your clothes and take a look. The old man looked Fang Ping up and down and said suddenly. Hearing this, Fang Ping hesitated for a while, but took off his windbreaker. He didn't wear anything inside, and as soon as he took off his windbreaker, his sturdy muscles appeared in front of several people. That piece of strong, smooth lines, full of explosive muscles, really attracts the eye. Fortunately, the dragon scale lines on his body disappeared again after he got used to the pain caused by the elevated primordial astral chi. But Yang Wanli and Fang Fu, who were next to them, suddenly widened their eyes when they saw the scene in front of them. Even Father Fang was even more surprised than Yang Wanli. This was the first time he had actually seen Fang Ping's body with his own eyes. Is this the effect that can be achieved in a few days of exercise? Father Fang was a little confused. And the young people at the other end of the yard who were practicing boxing also squinted when they saw Fang Ping's muscles. My grass, this muscle is outrageous. His chest muscles are bigger than my head. It's too much. I've been practicing for a few years, and I don't have this kind of muscle. Those young people were a little dumbfounded. After all, they have practiced boxing for a long time, so they can naturally see that Fang Ping's muscles are different from those in the gym, which are specially trained for size and muscle contour. That kind of explosive muscles, just looking at it, can imagine how powerful Fang Ping can burst out in an instant. And what they can see, how can the more profound old man surnamed Lin not see it? You didn't train your muscles in the gym, did you? Old man Lin squinted and asked Fang Ping. Well, I found an army fighting technique called Black Dragon 18 hands from the internet. Fang Ping answered with a raised eyebrow. Hearing his answer, old man Lin nodded. I know that the 18 hands of the Black Dragon is a kung fu that was sorted out after the country collected a lot of martial arts. Later, it was banned because the move was too ruthless and lethal. However, this kung fu requires a matching breathing method. Otherwise, the longer you practice, the more serious your body's problems will be when you get older. As if to shock a few people, the old man Lin said a few more words. Come on, let me take a look. Although Fang Ping previously merged the 18 hands of the Black Dragon into the hands of the prisoner, it does not mean that he will not have the 18 hands of the Black Dragon. After the old man Lin finished speaking, he directly used his punches and kicks. Tossing and turning, whirring and wind, every move, turning like a circle, looking at the old man Lin's eyes are full of brilliance. The young people not far away were hit hard again. Are you sure he is going to come in today to learn boxing? Why does he look so good when it is such a ruthless move? Okay, he has practiced his kung fu to a very high level. I'm afraid we won't be able to beat him even if we go together. These people grimaced and looked at Fang Ping, who was punching here, in amazement. At this moment, they really felt the unevenness of the world. There is a real difference between people. Okay, stop. Fang Ping only played the Black Dragon's 18-hand routine for a while, and was stopped. In fact, he was also very distressed. The body must be controlled so that no visions appear, let alone the punches that are punched out, too powerful. So what he hit was called a cautious one. Okay, the muscles and bones are strong, and the 18 hands of the Black Dragon can be practiced to this level, and the understanding is also very strong. Although it's a bit late to start, it's still an excellent seedling for practicing boxing. Old man Lin stepped forward and sighed with satisfaction while touching and kneading Fang Ping's muscles. At this time, Fang Ping is also fully controlling the muscles on his body, letting them relax to the softest level. Otherwise, the old man will definitely find that his muscles are abnormally hard. Haha, Uncle Lin, you are still satisfied, you were not happy before. Seeing the satisfied look on old man Lin's face, Yang Wanli next to him said with a smile. Who knows what kind of person you will put in? Do you think martial arts training is easy? Mind, perseverance, aptitude, and understanding are all indispensable, and money is only one aspect of it. The old man Lin cast a glance at him and reprimanded with a light snort. This child is not bad. He is a good seedling of martial arts. I accepted it on behalf of the owner of the museum. Then Fang Ping officially joined Tianjin Boxing Gym. For the next few days, I came here early every day to practice boxing. The whirring of the fist wind resounded in the yard. A few young people looked at Fang Ping, who was practicing boxing, each mouthful of monsters, but their eyes were full of envy. However, at this moment Fang Ping had a hint of worry in his eyes. Host, Fang Ping, Martial Arts, Dragon Royal 3 forms, First Layer. Dirt Refinement Method, First Layer, Hunyuan Gangchi, Second Layer. Arhat Purification Method, Third Layer, Sanyang Zhengfa, Dacheng. Burning Lamp Method, Xiaocheng, 9 figures and 6 sitting statues, 8th Layer, 3 Body Sealing Method, 3rd Layer, Dragon and Elephant Immobility, 2nd Layer, King Kong Pile Gong Consummation, Secret Iron Sand Palm Consummation, Qi Penetrating Cheng Hong Breathing Method Consummation, Zanyi 18 Falls Consummation, Golden Bell Cover Consummation, Iron Body Technique Consummation, Toad Technique Consummation. Elementium. 7. Because the primordial astral chi has been raised to the 2nd level before, the astral chi in his body has greatly increased. So in the past few days, he has improved all his other exercises. In addition to the 3 exercises, the burning lamp method, the 3-style dragon fighting method, and the dirty refinement method, it seems that they are too strong and still have insufficient energy. All other martial arts have basically improved to a higher level. And his strength, in the past few days, has naturally increased a lot again. But this also means the same. Unless he uses origin quality deduction to improve the cultivation techniques of those perfect realms, his strength will stop here for the time being. But he was a little reluctant to use the source quality to improve those martial arts. After the last game improvement, his origin quality was only 7 points. Before he can get a new source, he must save some flowers. Therefore, he wanted to wait for the 3 martial arts of Arahant Purifying Chi, Primordial Gang Chi, or Dragon Elephant Immortality, and then use origin quality upgrade after any one of them has reached consummation. So now we still have to solve the problem of insufficient energy. When he first improved his martial arts, he consumed the energy he got from food, as well as his own strength and spirit. After that, because of the inner chi and the follow-up Hunyuan Gangchi, the problem of his lack of energy was temporarily solved. But now, he has the problem of insufficient energy again. The strength is therefore temporarily stagnant. This has to find external energy to solve. It's just that he doesn't have a clue about it right now. The energy bars, compressed biscuits, etc. he used to eat are not at all useful now. He needs food with more energy, or something. Call. He stood up with his fists closed. Although he didn't feel anything, he still pretended to be tired and let out a breath. Fang Ping, in just a few days, Tianxin Kuan is already better than me, isn't it outrageous? One of the few people next to him came out and said to Fang Ping enviously. This person is called Yang Qun, the son of Yang Wanli who brought him in that day. A few years ago, he was sent here by Yang Wanli to practice boxing. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's because of lack of effort, lack of understanding, or both. His Tianxin Kuan training can only be said, very bluffing, the performance is absolutely enough. Even 2 or 3 ordinary people would not be his opponents. But if you encounter Lien Jiazi, it is estimated that you will have to take a break. That is to say, he is a distant relative of Old Man Lin, otherwise he would have been expelled long ago. Have the pavilion masters come back yet? Fang Ping looked at Yang Qun and asked. No, but I heard Mr. Lin say that it seems like it's been in the past few days. Yang Qun replied. Hearing his words, Fang Ping frowned secretly. Now he is not only a disciple of Tianxin Fist Gym, but also not a complete disciple. He didn't know until after he officially joined. It turned out that people like him and Yang Qun could only be regarded as ordinary disciples of Tianxin Fist Gym. Not that kind of real entrant disciple. So until now, Old Man Lin has only passed on his Tianxin Kuan moves and routines. However, the corresponding method of breathing luck was not passed on to him. It is said that he does not have this right, and he must wait until the owner of the museum returns to teach him personally. Therefore, the name of Tianxin Kuan does not appear on Fang Ping's current evil god modifier. Naturally, it cannot directly improve the realm of Tianxin Kuan. In the past few days, Fang Ping has completely relied on his strong background and understanding of martial arts to practice Tianxin Kuan to the current level. As for why he cares when the owner of the pavilion will come back. Judging from what I've seen and heard in the past few days, as well as the information revealed by Old Man Lin's words, the strength of Tianxin Boxing Gym is not weak. The strength of the pavilion owner can basically be determined to have broken through the limits of the human body. To break through the limits of the human body, Fang Ping believes that something with high energy will be used. Otherwise, if breaking the limits of the human body is really that simple, then the limit-breaking warriors must have left by now. And that's what Fang Ping was waiting for. As long as he can get something that contains more energy, his strength can continue to increase rapidly. So Fang Ping was relieved after hearing Yang Qun's words. The main reason for the Tianxin Pavilion is not to come back. He is planning to go to Dingyuan City next door to find those people in Jinchanmen. That is to say, he didn't know the true strength of Jin Chanmen. For the sake of safety, he chose to wait here for Tianxin Pavilion Master to come back. While a few people were talking, Fang Ping suddenly raised his brows and looked at the door of the courtyard. I saw a few people with strong stature and very special temperament, who walked in directly. Master, Master. Seeing the middle-aged man at the front of the group, Yang Qun and the others immediately shouted respectfully. Fang Ping also shouted. Looking at the group of people walking in from outside the door, Fang Ping's mouth twitched slightly. Finally home, in a hall of the boxing gym. You are Fang Ping, right? Luo Yongye, the owner of Tianxin Pavilion, sat on a taishi chair in front of the hall and asked Fang Ping. Yes. Fang Ping nodded in response. Luo Yongye looked at Fang Ping up and down, with a look of sophistication in his eyes. Several of his disciples were standing on both sides, also looking at Fang Ping, who might become his junior brother. And they are looking at Fang Ping. Fang Ping is also secretly sensing their strength. The owner of the pavilion, Luo Yongye, is a middle-aged man with short hair and a beard. But his temperament is very special, and there is some ethereal feeling in the middle and peaceful. It was as if the air around him had become quieter than anywhere else. A pair of eyes are as quiet as Pingu, but with a sharpness that penetrates the heart, as if one can see through the heart with just one glance. Although I still feel very weak, this level of strength has already surpassed Old Man Lin by several times. Sure enough, the limit of the human body has been broken. Fang Ping's eyes flashed a gleam of light. He could clearly feel the strength level of the Tianxin Pavilion master. Honestly, it's strong. It is estimated that his strength is almost the same as the centipede monster he encountered in the house of Mr. Liu. In his normal state, it is estimated that it takes a little seriousness to kill with one punch. The few disciples on the other two sides were the closest to Luo Yongye, and the two strengths standing beside him were okay. It seems that it is 1 or 2% worse than Luo Yongye, and it should have broken the limit of the human body. As for the other disciples, although they are much stronger than normal people, Fang Ping can stab them to death with a single finger. Not worth mentioning. Elder Lin told me about your situation, and you have good aptitude and understanding. Lin Lao should have passed on your Tianxin boxing before. You practice it. Let me see how you have practiced this boxing technique. Luo Yongye looked at Fang Ping and said after feeling satisfied for a while. But I don't know if it was his illusion. He always felt that the young man in front of him was not as simple as it seemed. Yes. Fang Ping clenched his fists, and then he played Tianxin fist in the hall. I don't know if it is because of the lack of supporting breathing and qigong methods. When Fang Ping practiced this day's hard boxing for the past few days, in fact, he always had an awkward feeling. It always feels like something is wrong. Moreover, the moves of Tianxin Kuan were very messy, and there were even many moves that Fang Ping felt was unnecessary. But that's what Old Man Lin taught him. Yang Qun and the other disciples practiced like this, and even Old Man Lin used these moves when he practiced boxing. But even though the moves were the same, the punches from Old Man Lin were more flavorful than those from Fang Ping and the others. There is an unintelligible meaning. Looking at Fang Ping's Tianxin fist, Luo Yongye's eyes flashed with surprise. In just a few days, you have practiced Tianxin Quan to this level. Hiss, this kind of qualification. Stop, come here, Luo Yongye suddenly said. When Fang Ping walked in front of him, he suddenly reached out and clasped Fang Ping's wrist. Fang Ping resisted the urge to punch him to death. Then I felt a very quiet and peaceful inner air suddenly pouring in. Fang Ping's eyes were startled, and he hurriedly restrained the primordial gangqi that was faintly stirred by the invasion of the territory in his body. At the same time, a thought moved, and a viscous and invisible force followed the trend of the inner qi and guided it to avoid the primordial qi. Because the strength gap between the two sides is too large, coupled with the precise operation of Fang Ping. In the end, Luo Yongye's inner qi didn't find anything unusual. Except for the fact that his physique is very strong, there is nothing abnormal. At the end of the investigation, Luo Yongye, who did not find any abnormality, looked at Fang Ping again, and there was a fiery look in his eyes. This is an excellent martial arts prodigy. Because of the special nature of Tianxin Quan, he has always believed in his own feelings. So when he felt that Fang Ping was not easy, he became suspicious. But now after investigating Fang Ping's body, no abnormality was found. He finally let go of his guard. The Tianxin fist he cultivated may not be strong in attacking anything, but it is in enhancing the perception ability. Absolutely one of the best. As for whether Fang Ping was a spy sent by other sects. Just kidding, who would send such an excellent martial arts prodigy as a spy? Would you use missiles to blow up birds? If it is discovered, it will not be a loss to the grandmother's house. You come in with me, Wenzi, you come in too, everyone else go to rest, you are also tired during this time. Luo Yongye said to Fang Ping and others. Then Fang Ping and one of his disciples followed him into the inner room behind the hall. Entering inside, Luo Yongye did not speak to Fang Ping for the first time, but looked at the disciple next to him. Wenz, here is what you need to break the limit, but whether it succeeds or not depends on your own good fortune. In addition, during this period of time, your brothers and sisters have been fighting for you in many ways, and you have seen how hard it is. In the future, you should be more united and help each other. Luo Yongye took out a small suitcase and handed it to the disciple while admonishing it. Wenzi keeps the master's teachings in mind. The disciple took the suitcase excitedly and said respectfully. And Fang Ping, who was next to him, glanced at the suitcase with his peripheral vision, and there was a flash of fire in the depths of his eyes. That's it, that's it. He could feel something full of active energy in the box. Fang Ping resisted the urge to grab it directly. A small leak will sink a great ship. It's impossible for him to come out and grab something every time he improves his martial arts in the future. What a hassle. After that, when Zi went out, Luo Yongye looked at Fang Ping. Fang Ping, let me ask you one more time, do you really want to join me under the Heavenly Heart sect? You can think it over. If you join in and use your martial arts to do evil, I will kill you with my own hands and clear the door. Luo Yongye looked at Fang Ping with a serious face and asked. The disciple is willing. Fang Ping also answered seriously. Okay, then I will accept you as a disciple today. Before you, you have 8 brothers and sisters, and the one just now is your 4th brother, Zhu Wenz. Next, I will pass on your Tianxinquan method, you remember it. After laughing loudly, Luo Yongye began to tell Fang Ping the content of Tianxinquan's exercises and the points that need to be paid attention to. And looking at the name of Tianxinquan gradually formed on the evil god modifier in front of him. There was also a smile on Fang Ping's face. Night. The moon is in the sky. Fang Ping in the rental house sat cross-legged by the window, the bright moonlight on his face. Heavenly mind, the 3 talents share the same heart, openness leads to longevity, and closure leads to short-term losses. When the emptiness of the heart is exhausted, it penetrates the mysterious purpose, the true emptiness, the true silence, the true purity and the true non-existence, a mysterious pearl, heart to heart, extremely secret also. Fang Ping showed an interested expression as he chanted the formula of Tianxinquan. No wonder I used to think that Tianxinquan's moves were messy. I understood Tianxin with my own heart, my mind was completely empty, and I completely followed Tianxin's guidance, and the induction power reached the extreme. Fang Ping didn't have much hope for this day of Xinquan before. After all, the strength of the owner of Tianxin Pavilion is only the level of a centipede girl, and he can kill him with one punch. But now that I have experienced the practice of Tianxinquan, Fang Ping suddenly found that there is something in Tianxinquan. On this day, Xinquan will neither strengthen the physical body very strongly, nor have any powerful attacks, nor will there be any messy poisons. But his spirit and the improvement of his sense of power are outrageously strong. Practicing this Tianxinquan is not so much practicing boxing, but it is actually more like cultivating Taoism. And when you practice the Tao, once you get enlightenment, the world will be bright. Tianxinquan also inherited this feature. This Tianxinquan, if you practice fast, can be so fast that people doubt life, but if it is slow, it can also be so slow that one wants to commit suicide. And one of the most important decisive factors. It is comprehension. Hi, isn't this a coincidence? The strongest thing about my Fang Ping is my savvy. A smile appeared on Fang Ping's mouth. Cthulhu modifier, upgrade. ... At this time, in the Tianxin boxing gym. In the inner room, puff, Luo Yongye spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. The old man next to him was suddenly startled. Master, are you injured? Luo Yongye waved his hand and wiped the black blood from the corner of his mouth. It's okay. This time when I went out to help Wen Zi find the monsters that broke the limit, I met the people from Jinchanmen and fought with them. It can hurt you and poison you. Could it be Wang Hongtao from Jinchanmen? Old man Lin frowned as he looked at the black blood on Luo Yongye's mouth. It's him. I didn't expect him to practice poison toad gong to the point where he raised his hands and feet, and his movements, and breathing were extremely poisonous. Don't worry, Elder Lin, this bit of poison can't trouble me. Hearing the old man Lin's words, Luo Yongye nodded, but looking at his worried look, he chuckled again. With your accomplishments in the secret method of Tianxin and Beidou, of course I believe that this poison will not overwhelm you. But what I'm worried about is the Golden Toad Gate. Old man Lin frowned. You mean they'll take this opportunity to attack us? Luo Yongye also frowned at this time. Old man Lin nodded. Jin Chanmin has always coveted the territory of Haichuan City, and has always wanted to capture our Tianxinquan technique. The one named Yuan Bewei, without the support of Jin Chanmin behind the scenes, how could he have become bigger and stronger in the Haichuan business community in just a few years? Originally some time ago, Yuan Bewei seemed to have provoked a monster and died suddenly and mysteriously. Jin Chanmin's footsteps should have slowed down a bit, but now that you are poisoned and injured, I am afraid they will not miss this opportunity. Old man Lin's eyes were deep and full of worry. Hearing this, Luo Yongyi's face also became a little ugly, but he immediately gritted his teeth. If they really dare to do it, they can't do it. If it's a big deal, they will go to Qingshu Mountain to ask for help. It seems that for the sake of the same ancestry and the same origin, those people in Qingshu Mountain should not sit idly by. Hearing this, the old man Lin was slightly startled and glanced at Luo Yongye. But the old pavilion owner got out of Qingshu Mountain because of his anger. If he asks for help. Luo Yongye sighed. I know, but I believe that the spirit of the old man in the sky will understand me. And he shouldn't want the Tianxin boxing gym he created to be destroyed and his boxing skills to be taken away by outsiders. After thinking for a while, old man Lin nodded. Then it should not be too late for this matter. Luo Yongye stroked the chair with his palm, his expression uncertain. I have to trouble you to pay more attention to this matter. If there is any change in Jin Chanmin, I will contact Qingshushan immediately. At the same time, in a building in Dingyuan City next door, a man with an extremely dark complexion, even a little black, looked at the tall old man next to him. Sect Master, do you really want to start now? Didn't you say that Xinquan Gym had something to do with Qingshu Mountain that day? Wang Hongtao asked hesitantly. The tall old man smiled coldly and stopped playing with two heavy steel balls in his hands. HMPH, that day Xinquan Gym was only founded by an abandoned disciple in Qingshu Mountain. Even if it is related, how much of a relationship can it have? And Qingshushan is almost overwhelmed by himself now. How can he have spare time to take care of his Tianxin Fist Gym's affairs? Not to mention, having said that, the tall old man looked at Wang Hongtao and smiled. His smile was full of treacherousness and ferocity. My Jin Chanmin has been honestly staying in Dingyuan City. It was a group of unknown people who destroyed the Tianxin Fist Gym. What does it have to do with us? Hearing this, Wang Hongtao was stunned for a moment, and then laughed out loud. Yes, those who killed them were obviously a group of unknown people. What does it have to do with our Golden Toad Gate? ... It's just that Fang Ping at this time was unaware of what was about to happen. At this time, he was still experiencing the mystery of Tianxinquan. Damn, why is my heart so dark? Inside the rental house, Fang Ping let out a low whimper, his face full of surprise. After raising Tianxinquan to the perfect state, Fang Ping found that he seemed to have a peculiar perspective. He seemed to be able to see the top of his head, behind his back, and even inside his body. As a result, he found out when he looked inside his body. My heart turned black without knowing it. A person like him who is honest and responsible, has a stable personality and does not cause trouble. How can the heart be black? What's more outrageous is that other organs in his body also seem to have this trend. It must be because of the evil god modifier, otherwise, how can my heart be black? Fang Ping immediately thought of the reason for borrowing. Pale white primordial gang qi entrenched in the chest and abdomen, circulating throughout the body. The black blood also dyed the blood vessels black, scattered in the flesh and blood in the body, like a black spider web. Then look at the depths of the eyebrows, above the sea of spiritual consciousness that seems to be illusory. A solitary lamp lit a cluster of faint flames, swaying slowly. From time to time, there will be a gloomy, obscure breath extracted from the sea of consciousness by the flames and swallowed up. But right now, the cluster of faint flames suddenly swayed violently. Before Fang Ping understood what was going on, a distorted laughter that was familiar but had not been heard for a long time echoed in Fang Ping's ears again. The same familiar, cold and naked fierce malice completely enveloped Fang Ping. Feel this familiar feeling. Fang Ping suddenly covered his face and laughed lightly. Ah! The corners of his mouth twitched wider and wider, and his laughter grew louder. Ha 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 ha! Unbridled laughter echoed throughout the room. Laughter, still malicious, but in the face of these despair at the beginning, it has completely disappeared at this time. The moonlight on the horizon is still quiet. In a small room. Ha 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 ha! Fang Ping was laughing wildly like a madman. His laughter was full of arrogance, but also full of an emotional vent. How frightened he was when faced with this twisted and weird laughter and malice. How helpless, hopeless and suffocated. He cultivated frantically, and even at the beginning, he would rather the heretic god modifier drain his physical strength and spend his energy to improve his strength. What for? Not for this very moment. Facing this maliciousness again at this time, he finally no longer has to feel the despair of helplessness. Swa! Fang Ping turned his head instantly, and his pupils instantly turned into broken golden vertical pupils. The violence was surging, and the fierce vertical pupils instantly locked somewhere in the space behind him. I see you. Dull like thunder, the sound of the urn sounded from his cracked mouth. The increase in strength, coupled with the special induction ability provided by the burning lamp method and Kuan. At this moment, Fang Ping directly saw the real body of the monster who had been secretly peeping at him. The whole body began to expand rapidly. Follow his gaze. I saw that half a meter behind him, the space seemed to be like a water surface with waves. And in the middle of that layer of space ripples, is an invisible vortex. Behind the vortex, there is a cloud of gray, and the space in the distance cannot be seen clearly. A monster that looks like a baby's head but is extremely huge and has countless strange tentacles is now appearing next to the whirlpool. Eyes full of madness grow messily on that huge head. Countless eyeballs twitched. A stream of filth is like stinky water, and an extremely evil gray aura diffuses from the whole body. It even began to spread rapidly along Fang Ping's line of sight. He seemed to have noticed Fang Ping's gaze towards him. The monster's many eyes full of twisted madness turned to Fang Ping. The next moment, as if seeing a toy that was delightful, the monster instantly became excited. The look in each eyeball turned into endless greed and fanaticism. The erected big mouth opened, revealing the small mouths that filled the mouth. There was a strange sound, and a strange syllable sounded from the countless small mouths. It was like a very hungry child crying for milk. It's delicious. Eat. But the strange thing is that although Fang Ping doesn't understand these strange syllables, he seems to understand the meaning of them naturally. With those countless small mouths opening and closing. A strange wave suddenly appeared at the mouth of the whirlpool. The whirlpool mouth is gradually expanding, and a tentacle that twists and dances can't wait to rush in front of the other tentacles, protruding from that expanding vortex. And when those tentacles came out, Fang Ping saw it again. The tentacles also have small mouths that look like the suckers on those octopus tentacles. The small mouth opened the teeth and bit Fang Ping directly. Want to eat me? Fang Ping's expression turned grim. Countless pale rays of light instantly bloomed on both hands. The sharp and thick dragon claws instantly grabbed the tentacle that was reaching out to him. Boom! The sturdy arms swelled again in an instant, and a powerful force rushed out. The sharp claws pierced deeply into the tentacles and pulled hard. The tentacles were instantly pulled tense. An indescribable, filthy evil force surged up his arms from the tentacles. Immediately afterwards, I saw bunches of granulation growing on Fang Ping's strong and sturdy arm, twisting. A small, rolling eyeball emerges at the front end of these granulations. On his hand, the muscle surface around the eye sockets on his face cracked silently, forming a mouth, and began to bite the flesh and blood beside him. Seeing this scene, Fang Ping's vertical pupils shrank slightly. Scold. But the next moment, an angry shout sounded in Fang Ping's chest. I saw the evil eye Vajra statue appearing in front of his chest, and the long sharp tongue swung in the cracked mouth suddenly flicked. The long sharp tongue instantly seemed to turn into an afterimage, appearing on his hands and face. The tip of the tongue rolled, and those strangely growing granulation buds, eyes and mouth were all rolled back into the big mouth on the chest. Then Fang Ping saw for the first time the evil-eyed Vajra's open mouth closed. Open and close, as if chewing the food in your mouth. Along with the chewing of Evil Eye King Kong, Fang Ping felt that the primordial Gang Qi in his body suddenly increased rapidly. At the same time, in his broken golden vertical pupils, a cluster of flickering flames emerged. The filthy power gushing out of the monster was continuously sucked and swallowed by the flames. Seeing this scene, Fang Ping burst into laughter. Do you think I'm still who I was? With a ferocious smile on his face, Fang Ping immediately began to yank the tentacle. Aren't you going to eat me? Come and eat. Hiss. There seemed to be a cracking sound in the middle. His sturdy arms that bloomed with this pale light actually tore off the monster's tentacles from the middle. The monster behind the vortex instantly roared because of the pain. Countless tentacles danced wildly, and the madness in each eyeball became more distorted. A powerful and terrifying aura surged out of the vortex in an instant. With a click, the monster's countless tentacles rushed to the vortex, frantically pulling and tearing. The space where the vortex was located made an overwhelmed cracking sound. The vortex expanded again, but the monster's numerous tentacles have just poured out. A force suddenly appeared out of thin air in the space around the vortex, and instantly stroked those tentacles. The moment this force appeared, Fang Ping froze completely uncontrollably. The next moment, the tentacles of the monster gushing out of the vortex disappeared instantly without any sign. There is no residue left. If the monster behind the vortex was not roaring in pain like crazy, I am afraid Fang Ping would have thought that everything just now was an illusion. Fang Ping, whose body regained control, trembled slightly at the thought of the power just now. This power, and after the force that appeared out of thin air touched it, the vortex in the space gradually shrank. Roar! After the shrinking vortex, the mad monster roared at Fang Ping. Fang Ping, who was originally excited and a little crazy, has calmed down again after feeling the strength of the power just now. What else is there to be excited about? Whether it is him or this monster, in front of that power. Poorly weak, there is absolutely no resistance. At that moment, he froze directly, unable to control his body at all. After looking at the smaller and smaller vortex, the monster was still roaring at him. Looking directly at it, a cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. See you next time, I will kill you alive. As soon as the voice fell, the vortex shrank to a point and disappeared. The wave in the space also quickly calmed down. Everything around was calm again. It's just Fang Ping's fist, but it's already slightly clenched. In a calm room, the tentacles that Fang Ping ripped from the monster gradually emerge from that invisible state and become entity. Keep twisting. The strange flesh shreds condensed into granulation buds, constantly multiplying and growing, desperately trying to get into Fang Ping's palm. But in the next second, the long sharp tongue of the evil eye King Kong on Fang Ping's chest rolled up. Chewing and swallowing, the primordial astral chi in the body increased rapidly again. It's just that Fang Ping's attention was not on it at this time. Eyes full of solemnity, he was still thinking about the power that suddenly appeared out of thin air just now. It was obviously just a force, but Fang Ping felt a vast, boundless and irresistible aura from it. It was as if a whole world was hidden in this power. In the face of this vast and powerful force, even Fang Ping at this time could not have the slightest sense of resistance. But the amazing thing is that in the face of this power, even though it is extremely powerful, it can easily wipe him out of this world completely. But Fang Ping didn't feel any danger. There is even a sense of closeness. It seems that the emergence of this power is entirely to resist the existence of monsters after the vortex is eliminated. He turned his head to look at the night sky with a waning moon hanging outside the window. Is it the resistance of this world to those monsters, the power formed spontaneously? Fang Ping whispered softly. At the class party, he angered the monster by using his evil alienation martial arts in the toilet. It should also be this force that repulsed the monster that wanted to rush out to eat him, saving his life. Otherwise, Fang Ping at that time should have been eaten by angry monsters. As for why he couldn't sense this power at the time, it should be that his strength was still too weak at that time, and his sensing ability was also at a low level. Still unaware of the existence of such a higher power. It's as if the more knowledgeable a person is, the more they can appreciate the vastness of knowledge, and there is no limit to it. But think about strength. Fang Ping has also roughly sensed the strength level of that monster. Still a level stronger than him. But the gap in strength between the two sides is no longer the same as the gap it used to be. If that monster really fully appeared in front of him. Not to mention whether you can escape. If Fang Ping really gave his life, even if he couldn't die with it, kill it. It can definitely kill 80 to 90% of its life. And when he continues to improve his martial arts to a realm, he believed that the monster he could definitely fight was seriously injured and defeated. Only now it seems, because of the existence of that power, it is basically impossible for this monster to cross the boundary of the space on both sides and appear in this world. But no matter what, after this battle, Fang Ping has determined that he has finally gotten rid of this initial threat. No longer have to worry about when this monster will suddenly appear and kill him. And the next time we meet, maybe it won't be looking for him. But he looked for it. After torturing himself for so long, he was going to strip it alive. What? You said you practiced Tianxin Kuan? In the Tianxin Fist Gym, Luo Yongye looked at Fang Ping in shock. The old man Lin next to him was so scared that his eyes were about to fall out. You should know that this kind of thing can't be faked, right? Luo Yongye's face became serious, and he even looked at Fang Ping angrily and said in a deep voice. How could he believe Fang Ping's words? Only yesterday I taught him the practice of Tianxin Kuan. Did he practice the real Tianxin Kuan today? Just one night. Even if he was an idiot, he wouldn't believe such a ridiculous thing. So he felt that Fang Ping was lying, which made him very angry. Practicing martial arts, especially cultivating their incomparably mysterious Tianxin Kuan, which is like cultivating Taoism. 1 is 1, 2 is 2. No falsification of any kind is tolerated. Luo Yongye looked at Fang Ping with a serious face, very disappointed in his heart. His aptitude and comprehension are excellent, and his perseverance is not bad. Although his family conditions are not perfect, it can also ensure that his cultivation in the early and middle stages is safe. But such a top seedling. In terms of heart, it is so bad. He was so ambitious, he even cheated and tried to deceive him. While Luo Yongye was angry, he was also very heartbroken. Fang Ping's perception is the best among his disciples. He also hoped that Fang Ping would surpass him in the future, carry forward Tianxin Kuan, and hit those people in Qingshu Mountain in the face. In the end, he never thought that Fang Ping would be such a person. Looking at Luo Yongye's serious face, he was even a little angry. Obviously he didn't believe his expression. Fang Ping was speechless. For the sake of safety, he only said that his Tianxin Kuan had been practiced, and he did not say that he had reached the perfect state. But that's it, Luo Yongye didn't believe it either. At the moment, Fang Ping didn't refute him, but just put on a stance and started to practice. When the mind is empty, the thoughts and ideas seem to fall into a state of infinite emptiness. Following the mysterious guidance in this vacuum state, Fang Ping performed Tianxin Kuan moves at will. Every move is like an antelope hanging its horns, and a fragrant elephant crosses the river. The charm is delicious, and the traces are hard to find. The moves are obviously incomparably messy, but there is a natural feeling. Fortunately, although Fang Ping was free, he still kept his mind. It didn't show the natural agility, as if every punch and kick were drawn by the heart of heaven. Otherwise, it is estimated that Luo Yongye and the two would be scared to death. But at this time, Luo Yongye and Old Man Lin were not scared to death, but they were probably not far away. Looking at the Fang Ping, who seemed to be dancing, and it was natural. Old Man Lin's mouth was about to be dislocated. Luo Yongye's eyes widened even more, with a ghostly expression. Looking at it in a trance, he kept muttering in a low voice. I'm a fool, haha. I'm a fool. What could be more convincing than all of this? How is this possible? In just one night, he practiced Tianxin Kuan to the max. It's done, yes, he's done it, he's my apprentice, he's my apprentice. God bless me with a heavenly heart, God bless me with a heavenly heart. Luo Yongye kept talking in a trance, crying and laughing. How? Looking at Luo Yongye, who was crying and laughing as if Zongxi was going mad, Fang Ping stopped and asked softly. Hearing his words, Luo Yongye came back to his senses and laughed instantly. How? You are so awesome, my treasure, apprentice. It seems that your understanding is indeed very strong, but remember, don't be complacent. When practicing martial arts, you must always be humble and not arrogant or impetuous. Luo Yongye endured the excitement in his heart, and said earnestly. In front of the apprentice, you must maintain your image as a master. Well, you should have a feeling as if you can look inside yourself now, right? He stroked his beard. Luo Yongye asked. Yes. Fang Ping nodded. Well, it's very good. I'm not good at attacking, but I also have secret techniques for protecting myself. When you go a step further and can look inside yourself, I'll pass it on to you. Luo Yongye said with satisfaction. Tianxin Fist is mysterious, and comprehending Tianxin is like cultivating the Tao. In that state of emptiness and stillness, Tianxin Quan's moves are integrated, and its power is not bad. But definitely not strong. Fang Ping found this out. People who came before Tianxin Fist Gym, or those who created this boxing technique in the first place, can naturally find it. Therefore, Tianxin Quan is also equipped with a secret method for fighting. In Taoist terms, it is the art of protecting the Tao. It's just that the threshold for cultivation of this secret method is very high. You must practice Tianxin Quan to the point where you can look inside yourself before you can practice. And with the blessing of this secret method, the power of Tianxin Quan can be greatly increased. At the same time, the survivability can also be greatly enhanced. Hearing Luo Yongyi's words, Fang Ping nodded. Then wait another day, and tell him tomorrow that he has been able to do introspection. With that in mind, Fang Ping backed out. And after he left the inner room, Old Man Lin looked at Luo Yongye and rolled his eyes. Laugh if you want, I think you endured hard enough just now. Ha ha ha. Hearing Old Man Lin's words, Luo Yongye laughed immediately. If it wasn't for the lack of a beard on his chin, he would probably have had his beard up to the sky now. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe that there would be someone like Fang Ping in this world. After laughing for a while, Luo Yongye was full of emotion and even said in surprise. Yeah, who would believe it if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes? I used to think that his comprehension was excellent, but I never thought that his comprehension could reach such a level. It really opened my eyes. Old Man Lin also had a look of emotion on his face. However, with his understanding, it is estimated that he will be able to achieve inner vision in a short time. You really have to pass on his secret method directly. No more testing 1 or 2. Old Man Lin looked at Luo Yongye and asked. Luo Yongye pondered for a moment. There is nothing to worry about, he has already checked his body with his qi before. Except for the strong muscles and bones that are not like ordinary people, nothing unusual was found. You don't think there is any sect who can avoid the inspection of my inner qi? Hearing this, the Old Man Lin shook his head. That's not true. I'm afraid of your impulsiveness, so I remind you. Luo Yongye. It doesn't matter whether it's impulsive or how, now Jin Chanman is coveting, if you can increase your strength, you can increase your strength. What's more, with the secret method, he can also have a little more vitality in this catastrophe. Hearing this, Old Man Lin was silent, but he immediately said as if he remembered something. By the way, the owner of the museum, I came to you for the Jinchanmen, although according to the information I know, there is no change in the Jinchanmen. But Wang Hongtao seems to have left the Jinshan Gate. I suspect that he may have come to Haichuan. I have an ominous premonition, so I think it's better for us to contact Qingshu Mountain as soon as possible. The Old Man Lin said with a serious look. Hearing this, Luo Yongyi's expression immediately became serious. I have always felt uneasy. I guess Jin Chanman really wants to do something to us this time. I will contact Qingshu Mountain later. Inside the Special Adjustment Office of Haichuan City. Jin Feng is still tracing the traces of the suspected soul-level monster. It's just that after so many days, he still has no clue. Although the Captain Yuan from that province took Yuan Yuqing away after only staying in Haichuan for a day, it was a pity that he could not use his power to destroy that monster. But the new high-grade magic crystal has been transported to Haichuan. So he wasn't too afraid of that soul-level monster. It's just that in the past few days, what he is puzzled is that it doesn't matter if the monster can't find any trace. Why did he shoot at the centipede monster that day, but he didn't kill them? I've never heard of any monsters that pity humans. Just then, an inspector walked up to him. Jin Chu, Wang Hongtao of Jinchanmen brought people into Haichuan. Hearing this, Jin Feng frowned. Why did the people from Jinchanmen come to Haichuan? The man replied, it is said that Luo Yongye was injured by him before. He should come here this time to attack Tianxin Fist Gym. Shall we inform the people in Tianjin Fist Gym? Notify them why. These warriors are obviously powerful, but they don't want to contribute to the country. I know I'm thinking of my own interests. We lost so many people in Linxing district before, but Tianjin Fist Gym didn't help at all. Why should we inform them now? A young man next to Jin Feng snorted coldly. In the previous monster incident in Linxing district, although Fang Ping didn't do anything to them that day, they still killed some people after besieging the demonized creatures and the centipede monsters afterwards. At that time, because the owner of Tianxin Pavilion took those disciples out to find Zhu Wen's for breaking the limit. Old man Lin stayed in the gym, and the few disciples who remained were not very strong, so he did not come forward to help. But such a special adjustment of these talents does not matter so much. After all, they have lost so many brothers and colleagues, and anyone will have emotions. Therefore, because of this incident, many people in the special mediation office have opinions on Tianjin Fist Gym. Hearing this, Jin Feng glanced at the young man, and the young man lowered his head and did not continue to say anything. But after pondering for a while, Jin Feng shook his head. It's okay to inform them, that's their business. Whether it's Jinchanmen or Tianjin Fist Gym, the meaning to our special mediation is the same. Our special mediation agency is a state agency, and it also represents the state's attitude at a certain level. It's better not to interfere in their affairs. What's more, they also had an agreement with the country at the beginning. As long as the disputes between them do not involve ordinary people, do not have major harmful behaviors and disrupt social order, they will be ignored. So this time, we will not interfere. After listening to Jin Feng's words, the man nodded. Okay, I see. That night, the Tianjin boxing gym was in chaos. The next day, in Fang Ping's room, two more and more sinister pale rays of light bloomed in Fang Ping's eyes. From the outside, it looked as if his eyes were glowing. Host: Fang Ping. Martial Arts. Dragon Royale 3 Forms First Layer. Dirt Refinement Method First Layer, Hunyuan Gangqi Second Layer. Arahant Purifying Qi Method Fourth Layer, Sanyang Zhengfa Dacheng. Burning Lamp Method Shaocheng 9 Figures and 6 Sitting Statues 8th Layer, 3 Body Sealing Method 3rd Layer, Dragon and Elephant Immobility 2nd Layer, King Kong Pile Gong Consummation, Secret Iron Sand Palm Consummation, Qi Penetrating Cheng Hong Breathing Method Consummation, Zanyi 18 Falls Consummation, Golden Bell Cover Consummation, Iron Body Technique Consummation, Toad Technique Consummation. Origin 13. The energy is still not enough. Looking at the information on the Cthulhu modifier, Fang Ping thought with regret. After the evil eye King Kong swallowed the tentacles of the monster before, Fang Ping not only got 6 elemental essences, but the primordial Gang Qi in his body also increased by 40%. It's a pity, even after the growth of the primordial astral Qi, it is still not enough to improve the realm of the Dragon Royal 3 styles and the dirt refining technique. However, it is enough to improve the Arahant's purification method. So he raised the Arahant purification method to the 4th level. And with the improvement of the realm of the Arahant's purification method, the pale light emitted by his primordial astral Qi also became more sinister. Before, there was only a hint of desolation and dead silence. But now, it has been filled with a sense of desolation. After the pale light blooms, it seems that there is no vitality in it, and some are just dead, barren, and dead. His primordial astral Qi became stronger. But what he wants to improve the most now is the 3 style of the dragon and the refining method, or the primordial Qi and the dragon elephant without moving. Unfortunately, there is not enough energy. Energy, or TM's energy. I still have to find out from the owner of the museum as soon as possible what exactly is needed to break through the limits of the human body. That way you can know what that thing with a lot of energy is. Thinking of this, after the light in his eyes gradually subsided, Fang Ping hurried to Tianjin Fist Gym as usual. What happened? Seeing the dilapidated boxing gym in front of him, Fang Ping was a little confused. When I left by myself yesterday, wasn't it all fine? How did it become like this today? But suddenly, Fang Ping was shocked. Damn, the owner of the museum won't die, isn't it a waste of my time these days? Thinking of this, Fang Ping immediately walked into the boxing gym. Go into the courtyard and come to the inner hall. After seeing Luo Yongye who was sitting above, although his breath was a little weak, he was still intact. Fang Mo suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay not to die. And watching Fang Ping rushing in from the outside in a hurry, he was relieved when he saw that he was all right. Luo Yongyi's heart suddenly warmed. I really didn't see the wrong person. If you care so much about me, how could Fang Ping be someone with bad intentions? Thinking that Fang Ping has only been a teacher for a few days, he already cares about himself so much. Then I thought of the traitor who I had been with for 7 years, treated each other sincerely, exhausted all my energy, and finally betrayed me. Comparing the two, Luo Yongyi's hatred for the traitor became stronger, but his gaze towards Fang Ping became extremely gentle and kind. He's a good boy. Luo Yongyi looked at Fang Ping, who came over and thought with emotion in his heart. Seeing Luo Yongyi's incomparably tender look at him, Fang Ping frowned. Why is he looking at me like this? Being stared at by this kind of gaze made Fang Ping feel uncomfortable all over. Master, what's going on? What happened? Fang Ping looked at Luo Yongyi and asked. Luo Yongyi, the gym owner, had an unstable breath and was a little weak. The gym became tattered, and there were even many bloodstains in the yard. There was clearly a fierce battle that took place. Last night, King Hongtao of Jinchanmen from Dingyuan City next door attacked the boxing gym. Luo Yongyi didn't say a word, but Bai Manya, the second senior sister standing on the side, said angrily. Bai Manya told Fang Ping what happened last night. Speaking of this Bai Manya, his father is also a rich man in Haichuan, with several companies under his name. Because Fang Ping joined Tianxin Boxing Gym, he became Bai Manya's true junior and apprentice. Her father also got to know Fang's father. After several contacts, the two companies just happened to have some business to cooperate. Although they have only just cooperated, because of Bai Manya's father's relationship, Fang's company has obviously grown faster than before. Because of this reason, Father Fang always came home later these days, and went out earlier in the morning. And Zhu Wen's, the damned traitor, turned his back on the battlefield. Thanks to us working so hard to help him find something that broke the limit. After talking about what happened last night, Bai Manya cursed angrily again. Fang Ping, who is a traitor and not a traitor, doesn't care. He heard Bai Manya say that Luo Yongyi used a secret technique to repel the enemy last night. Fang Ping immediately expressed his concern to Luo Yongyi. Master, are you all right? Hearing Fang Ping's concern, Luo Yongyi was very useful and said with a chuckle, it's okay, although I'm a little weak now, it's just a sequela after the outbreak of the secret technique. I'm not injured. Master, haven't you contacted Qingshu Mountain before? At this time, the old man on the side Lin asked inexplicably. His face was pale, and he seemed to be injured last night. Qingshu Mountain seems to be in trouble and can't take any hands, but they said they would warn Jin Chanmin. Looking at the current situation, Jin Chanmin should not care about Qingshu Mountain's warning. Luo Yongyi's face also became a little ugly. The old man Lin was a little surprised. How dare the Jin Chanmin? Are they really not afraid of Qingshu Mountain and ask them to settle accounts? Luo Yongyi shook his head. Jin Chanmin will definitely not admit it. As long as they refuse to admit it, Qingshu Mountain can't really fight for us. Hearing this, the old man Lin was silent for a while. The atmosphere in the entire inner hall also became a little heavy. It seems that everyone's will is a little depressed, Luo Yongyi said with a chuckle. You don't have to worry too much, my secret method can continue to be used, then Wang Hongtao is nothing to worry about. Hearing this, several ordinary disciples breathed a sigh of relief, but the worries in the eyes of old man Lin and Bai Manya did not diminish. Because they know the situation of this secret law better than ordinary disciples. This secret method can erupt 7 times, but Luo Yongyi used it once when he was helping Zhu Wen's to find something to break the limit. When they came back, they encountered Wang Hongtao and the others, and a fight broke out again. Used it again last night. That is to say, Luo Yongyi still has 4 opportunities to use the secret method. But after 4 times, in this situation, Wang Hongtao and the others will definitely not give up. You guys have a good rest, treat your injuries, Fang Ping, come in with me. Seeing that everyone was no longer depressed, Luo Yongyi looked at Fang Ping and said. Follow Luo Yongyi to the back room. Master, Jin Chanmin attacked the boxing gym, and even injured so many people, don't the police care? Fang Ping asked strangely. When he was in Zujia village, Old Man Shu told him that decades ago, the state arrested and killed many people who practiced martial arts. Logically speaking, these warriors of Jinchanmen should not dare to be so reckless. How dare you so blatantly provoke the law and directly attack Tianxin boxing gym? Luo Yongye shook his head slightly. The police won't care. Decades ago, a large number of martial artists were arrested, and the seniors of several sects and some martial artists had a discussion with the leaders above. Afterwards, these sects and organizations will restrain their disciples. As long as they do not endanger society and seriously affect ordinary people, the police will not care. Hearing this, Fang Ping frowned. To allow the country to make such a big concession, it seems that the warrior side must have paid a greater price. After all, in general, warriors are the weaker side in front of the country. As for the discussion with the country, what exactly did the warriors pay? Fang Ping was not interested. He is very interested in this agreement now. As long as it doesn't endanger society and ordinary people, the police won't care. This is good. He had always been afraid of the power of the official, and tried his best to avoid exposing himself, for fear of being targeted. Now I know that the country will not control the battle between warriors under certain circumstances. Then he can feel a lot more at ease. He is a martial artist of Tianxin Fist Gym now, so if he does something to other martial artists, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Always show muscles. He is not a tortoise, he clearly has such a strong strength, and he has been enduring it. By exposing a little bit of strength to a certain extent, he can save a lot of trouble. What's more, as his strength increases, he needs more and more energy, and he can't really go unnoticed all the time. Sha Guo is not so incompetent. Now he can hide himself all the time, just because the state doesn't notice him. If the country really wants to investigate him, even if you can't check him upside down, you can definitely find him unusual. If that's the case, let's show some strength. While Fang Ping was thinking about these things, Luo Yongye took out a booklet out of nowhere. The booklet is rudimentary and nothing is written on the cover. Fang Ping, this is the secret method of the Big Dipper of this sect. After you can look inside yourself, you can start to practice. It's going to take a while, and I'll teach it to you after you've cultivated to the point of being able to see inside. But now that the Golden Toad sect is attacking, I will teach it to you in advance. I hope you can continue to be brave and diligent. Luo Yongye handed the booklet to Fang Ping. Fang Ping's eyes flickered. He took the booklet with a smile and said, "Master, I've been able to do introspection." Hearing this, Luo Yongye glanced at Fang Ping in surprise, but then smiled dumbly. If that's the case, that's fine, but now that the Golden Chanman is secretly coveting, you disciples who enter the house may be in danger. You should not practice this secret technique for the time being. Hearing that Fang Ping had been able to look inside, Luo Yongye was just surprised and accepted. After all, he had seen the perversion of Fang Ping's savvy yesterday. Compared with the completion of Tianxin Kuan in one night, it is not unacceptable to go one step further and achieve inner vision. Why, it's just that Fang Ping was a little confused when he heard that Luo Yongye asked him not to practice this secret technique for the time being. Now is the time of danger, shouldn't we cultivate a secret technique to increase our strength? Luo Yongye smiled lightly. After you read this secret method, you will know why. Normally, you should be able to look inside and practice the Heavenly Heart Big Dipper secret technique, you shouldn't have any problems. But it is precisely because your understanding is too strong, so I want to tell you, don't be in a hurry, this secret method can't be rushed. Okay, Master, I will pay attention. Although it was a little unclear, Fang Ping still responded. Looking at Fang Ping, Luo Yongye suddenly said apologetically, "Fang Ping, originally based on your current state, as a master, I should start preparing things for you to break the limit, but now is a time of trouble, I hope you can forgive me." Hearing this, Fang Ping paused slightly and glanced at him. After a while, Fang Ping chuckled. "Don't worry, Master, I still know what's going on now." This time, Fang Ping's master call is a little sincere. It has only been a few days since Fang Ping joined Tianxin Fist Gym. But now, looking at Luo Yongye's sincerity, he suddenly felt that he could do something. Exactly, Golden Toad Gate. This is an old friend. When old friends meet, it is not necessary to exchange feelings. ... Inside the boxing gym, Fang Ping's eyes were full of surprise after reading the booklet that recorded the secret method of Tianin Beidou. He now knows why Luo Yongye told him not to practice for the time being. Because it is the practice of this secret method, a part of vitality will be lost, and oneself will fall into a period of extremely weakness. Now that the Golden Toad Gate is attacking, if you practice this secret technique, if you encounter an enemy, you will be powerless to resist. But to be honest, the secret method of Tianin Beidou this day. A bit hard, no, very hard. It turned out to be a secret method that gathers its own vitality and stores it. With the 7 acupoints in the body, the formation of the Big Dipper 7 stars is formed, and the vitality is gathered and sealed in the 7-star acupoints. When you are injured in battle, or when you are defeated, activate the secret method and release the vitality in the whole. Not to mention the restoration of the full state, but at least 70% to 80% can be restored. And because there are 7 acupoints, this Big Dipper secret technique can be activated 7 times. This Nima is equivalent to fighting others with 7 lives. No wonder Luo Yongye said that after practicing this secret technique, his survivability can be greatly enhanced. As long as you don't encounter an enemy that is too powerful, who can withstand 7 lives and hit you with 1 life. Fang Ping could imagine how uncomfortable it would be for the enemy to be disgusted by this secret technique. Of course, this secret method is so powerful, and the risk of cultivation is naturally high. After all, it involves gathering and extracting one's own vitality. That's why Luo Yongye asked him to practice this secret technique after he could see inside. Because only by doing introspection, can you most accurately observe the situation in your own body and perceive the changes in your own vitality. Otherwise, if you are not careful, you will drain your life force. It is not directly cool. This practice is really dangerous. Fang Ping sighed in his heart. Tianin Beidou secret technique, upgrade. Boom. Thunder exploded in the dark night sky. The pouring rain poured down the night sky. The rain in summer always comes so suddenly, and the weather changes. Fang Ping held an umbrella and walked quietly by the light of the street lamps. Feel the 7 empty acupoints in your body. Fang Ping cautiously tried to gather his own vitality. For example, Luo Yongye, Baimanya and others, when they practice the secret technique of Tianin Beidou. It's all opening one hole after another. After the acupoints are filled with vitality, the next acupoint will be activated and opened. This is done for safety. The activation of the 7-star acupoints is very difficult, even in an internal vision environment. You can hurt yourself if you're not careful. Naturally, it is impossible for them to activate and open multiple acupoints at the same time. The second is because their vitality is not strong enough. Fill a hole and they will be weak for a long time. Naturally, there is no need to open multiple acupoints at the same time. And Fang Ping, because of the evil god modifier, it directly raised the Tianin Beidou secret technique to the perfect state. All 7 acupoints are activated directly. But although the secret method has reached the perfect state, at this time his 7 acupoints are empty. Although his vitality at this time has far exceeded Luo Yongye, Baimanya and these warriors who have broken through the limits of the human body. But after all, it involves cohesion and extraction of its own vitality. Fang Ping thinks it's better to be careful. Human life is very fragile. Can't stand torment. Carefully condensed a part of the vitality and sealed it in the first hole. Fang Ping quietly felt the change in himself. It seems that there is not much feeling. Fang Ping thought in surprise. But the loss of vitality actually made him feel a slight uncomfortable feeling. Let's take it slow. Shaking his head, he dismissed the idea of directly filling the acupoints. Fang Ping continued to feel the physical condition while slowly condensing and extracting life force into the acupoints. But after walking a distance, Fang Ping frowned. This senior sister Bai, why are you still following me? Sensing that Baimanya, who was hiding not far behind, had followed him since he left the gym, Fang Ping was a little puzzled. Looking at her appearance, it doesn't seem like she has bad intentions for herself. Besides, he and Baimanya had nothing to do with each other, and they even had a good relationship. And she didn't seem to have any ill will towards him either. Then what is she doing with herself? Suddenly, Fang Ping stopped, frowning slightly and looking straight ahead. I saw 2 men, standing in front, looking at him with a malicious smile. Fang Ping, right, who are you? Fang Ping looked at them with a wary expression. The round-faced man in the two looked at Fang Ping with a chuckle. Our deputy sect master wants to chat with you, and I hope you can come with us. Fang Ping grimaced. What if I say no? Hearing this, the round-faced man sighed softly. I advise you to follow us honestly, or you may regret it. After all, the deputy sect master just wants to chat with you, as long as you can still talk. At that time, we will break your hands and feet and take you back, and we will also be able to do business. But you don't want that to happen. Hearing this, Fang Ping narrowed his eyes slightly, and a killing intent flashed in his eyes. He looked up at the torrential rain and the dark night sky. It's a good day to kill. Thinking of Bai Manya who had been following him behind him, Fang Ping raised his brows slightly. Just right. The plan to reveal a little bit of strength starts now. Fang Ping raised the corner of his mouth and raised his palm slightly. What nonsense are you talking to him? It's just a rubbish who just joined the Tianjin Fist Gym. Just break his hands and feet and take him back to the deputy sect master. The man next to the round-faced man with sullen eyes said impatiently. Hearing this, Fang Ping's face turned completely cold. At this moment, the two men with the round face on the opposite side shuddered together, and it felt as if the surroundings suddenly became very cold. Heart-piercing. It seems that you really can't wait to die. Swish. Before Fang Ping could finish speaking, a capable figure flashed from behind the rain curtain. Appeared in front of Fang Ping. Humph. I knew that you bastards from the Golden Toad sect, if you can't deal with my master, you will attack my junior brothers. Bai Manya's pretty face was full of anger and looked at the two of them opposite. Don't worry, junior brother Fang, as long as I'm still here today, I will never let them hurt you. Bai Manya turned her head and said to Fang Ping. Hearing this, Fang Ping twitched the corner of his mouth, sighed, and put down the hand he just raised. Then thank you, sister. At this time, the two people on the opposite side also changed their expressions instantly after seeing Bai Manya who suddenly appeared. No, it's Bai Manya, she has broken through the limits of the human body, and we can't deal with it, hurry up. The round-faced man looked at Bai Manya with some fear and said. Before he could finish his words, he turned around and ran away directly behind. And the sullen man next to him escaped even faster than him. The limit of the human body is a shackle that every warrior will face. It is also the real watershed of martial artist strength. The power gap is very exaggerated. Not to mention the two of them, even if they were 10, they would definitely not be the opponents of Bai Manya, who had already broken the limits of the human body. They knew this very well, so they chose to run away. HMPH, you know who I am, and you still want to run away. Seeing the two run away, Bai Manya sneered and stepped on her feet. Snapped. The rain that flowed on the ground sputtered in an instant. I saw Bai Manya instantly turned into an afterimage, and within a few blinks of an eye, she directly caught up with the two who escaped. Boom. Two muffled beeps sounded instantly. I saw that Bai Manya slapped the round-faced man's head with his palm, and poked his foot directly on the back area behind the heart of the male prey. The toes even pierced directly into the muscles of the underworld man. With two thumps, the two of them collapsed to the ground without any sound. Every now and then, he immediately violently killed two people. Bai Manya's shot is far more vicious than her usual performance. Chapter 51. The pouring rain poured down. The blood flowing from the two corpses on the ground was continuously washed away by the heavy rain. The diluted blood mixed with the rainwater and flowed into the roadside drain. Fang Ping thought that Bai Manya's shot was very ruthless. At the same time, I felt emotional again. Bai Manya dared to kill someone so blatantly. It seems that the country really doesn't care much about the battle between warriors. This made Fang Ping feel more at ease. Sister, it's amazing. Seeing Bai Manya walking back slowly, her clothes wet by the rain, and her graceful body outlined, Fang Ping exclaimed. Because of practicing martial arts, Bai Manya's figure is very good, except that it is slightly flatter. After all, it is too big for a warrior, and it will become a weakness in battle. However, Fang Ping looked at her with very clear eyes, and there were no vulgar eyes. Junior brother Fang, your strength is still low, so if you encounter a limit-breaking warrior who has broken through the limits of the human body in the future, you must run away as soon as possible. No, it's best to avoid meeting with hostile limit-breaking warriors, otherwise you won't be able to escape the pursuit of limit-breaking warriors. After breaking through the limits of the human body, the physical fitness of a limit-breaking warrior has reached an inhuman level, and it is simply not something that ordinary warriors can fight against. Bai Manya warned softly. Well, I see, thank you, senior sister. Fang Ping nodded in thanks. Although these two Jin Chanmen have been killed by me, you still have to be careful when you go back. Okay, after you've dealt with the matter here, I'm going back to the boxing gym. After Bai Manya reminded again, she waved her hand and walked back towards the boxing gym. Then Fang Ping continued to walk in the direction of home. But his eyes were full of helplessness. Sister, didn't you say you want to go back? Then what do you mean when you stop not far away and keep following me? Also, the guy in front. Could you please take a shower? The stench of toad poison on your body cannot be concealed even if it is so far away and it is raining so hard. Fang Ping was a little tired. He just wanted to kill a few people and show his strength. Such a simple thing, why is it so difficult? Swa. Sure enough, when Fang Ping walked a distance, he came to the corner of a closed shop. An afterimage fell from the top of the store in an instant, and the strong airflow instantly blew up the raindrops that fell in the air. Straight to Fang Ping's shoulder. Boom, it's just that Fang Ping's face didn't change. Even holding the umbrella handle did not move at all. Because at the same time, a figure had once again shot out from the rain curtain behind him. With a bang, they collided violently. The diffused energy directly dissipated the rainwater in an area in the air, forming a vacuum area. That shadow had intercepted Fang Ping before the afterimage caught Fang Ping. Two figures fell to the ground. HMPH, I know that the cunning guys like you Jinchanmen will definitely have a backhand. Bai Manya stared at the figure opposite and said coldly. Only this time, looking at the figure on the opposite side, Bai Manya's eyes were already full of vigilance. Oh, it seems that your Tianxin Fist Gym really attaches great importance to this disciple named Fang Ping, and even sent you to protect him. The man was wearing loose clothes with a lot of green strands in his hair, looking at Bai Manya and chuckling. Judging from his expression, he doesn't seem to be afraid of Bai Manya, and is obviously a limit-breaking warrior who has broken through the limits of the human body. You should have been there just now, but watching me kill two of your classmates is really in line with the style of your Jinchanmen. Bai Manya sneered. The man waved his hand. Hey, what you said was just two strangers from the same family and different paths. What does their Jin Chan line have to do with me? The man said casually. The martial arts practiced by the disciples of the Jin Chan sect are all Toad Kung Fu. However, because of the different direction of majoring, and the subsequent methods of breaking through the limits of the human body are different. The Golden Toad Gate is actually divided into two factions. After breaking through the limits of the human body, practice Jinshin Gong and continue to strengthen the Jinshin lineage of inner Qi. As well as practicing the Poison Toad art, condensing the Poison Toad line of poison art. The man in front of him was from the Poison Toad lineage. Wang Hongtao, who had injured Luo Yongye before, was his master and the deputy head of Jinchanmen. I'll hold the person on the other side later, and you can take the opportunity to run away. At this time, Fang Ping saw that the corner of Bai Manya's mouth moved slightly, and then a very small voice sounded in his ear. Haha, when you say that in front of me, do you think I can't hear you if you lower your voice? The man had a relaxed smile. What if you hear me? Bai Manya snorted coldly. The secret technique of your Tianxin Fist Gym is really disgusting, but do you really think you can stop me? The man laughed, a sarcastic smile on his face. Bai Manya's face changed instantly. You are poisoning. Hearing this, the corner of the man's mouth twitched. Otherwise, why do you think I've been talking nonsense with you for so long? Junior brother Fang, hurry up and escape. Bai Manya, whose face was very ugly, suddenly let out a coquettish drink, and at the same time, the whole person rushed directly to the man. No matter what, we must stop him and buy time for junior brother Fang to escape. Hearing Bai Manya's words, Fang Ping instantly ran away in the other direction. It's just that when he left, his fingers lightly tapped. A ray of strange toxin belonging to him melted into Bai Manya's body. This toxin can not only ensure that Bai Manya will not be harmed by that person's poison in the future. And it was also a gift from Fang Ping to that person. Having practiced poison art, he should like this gift very much. At last no one is following. After running a distance, Fang Ping slowed down. Continue to gather vitality while walking slowly towards home. But still some distance from home. Fang Ping suddenly raised his brows and looked at the figure walking out of the dark alley next to him in surprise. Isn't this senior brother Zhu? Looking at Zhu Wen's who came out, Fang Ping's eyes flashed with surprise. He found that the other party had not broken through the limits of the human body, and even the strength of his body had not improved much compared to the day he met. This means that the other party may not have used the limit-breaking thing that Luo Yongye gave him. Now the other party is still blocking him here. Doesn't this make it clear that it will be delivered to his door? Brothers, so kind, if he doesn't accept it, wouldn't he waste a piece of his good brother's heart? The torrential rain poured. In the dark alley beside the road, a figure walked out. Junior brother Fang. Zhu Wen's was wearing a raincoat and looked at Fang Ping quietly. Seeing that his strength has not changed, Fang Ping called out to him as a good brother, but a bright smile appeared on his face. Isn't this senior brother Zhu? I heard that when Jin Chanman attacked the boxing gym last night, you turned your back on the battlefield. Fang Ping said with a smile. Listening to Fang Ping's words that he was a traitor, the expression on Zhu Wen's face did not change. People go to high places, water flows to low places, and good birds choose wood to perch. The Tianjin boxing gym is weak and can't resist the Jinchanmen. Then why should I join the Jinchanmen? Hearing this, Fang Ping nodded. That's right, but there are some principles that should not be violated. After all, people are sentient beings. Hearing this, Zhu Wen smiled contemptuously. Emotions. In this world where the strong eat the weak, emotions are the most unreliable thing. Junior brother Fang, please come with me. I know the character of the master very well, and he will definitely send someone to protect you. However, today the Golden Toad sect has dispatched 2 passers-by, one in the open and one in the dark. No matter who is protecting you secretly, it is impossible for them to come to save you now. Junior brother Fang, why don't you join Jin Chan sect with me? With your superb understanding, junior brother, you will definitely be valued in Jin Chan sect and get better development, isn't it good? Zhu Wen's looked at Fang Ping and persuaded. Fang Ping didn't answer his words, but asked with a smile, Senior brother Zhu hasn't used the limit-breaking thing that your master gave you that day, right? Hearing this, Zhu Wen's was slightly startled, then looked at Fang Ping and smiled dumbly. Junior brother Fang doesn't think that I haven't broken through the limits of the human body, so you can fight with me for her too. His smile was full of contempt, obviously not taking Fang Ping in his eyes. Fang Ping nodded seriously. Well, I have this idea. His words made Zhu Wen's laugh even louder. It's like hearing a funny joke. Junior brother Fang, I admit that your understanding is far better than mine, and you are a genius in martial arts. But genius, it takes time to grow. A genius who hasn't grown up is not a genius. Zhu Wen's walked towards Fang Ping step by step. The momentum on the body gradually became stronger. Zhu Wen's was able to let Luo Yongye bestow something that broke the limit, and his own strength was naturally very strong. One last question, would you like to meet Wang's disciple with me? Zhu Wen stared at Fang Ping and asked coldly. The powerful aura on his body directly crushed it. Fang Ping shook his head. Seeing this, Zhu Wen's eyes instantly became fierce, and his face became hideous. I've already given you a chance, but if you refuse, then it's not your brother's fault. Call. Immediately stepping forward, Zhu Wen's came to Fang Ping in the blink of an eye. The right fist struck out like lightning, like a slush claw, and smashed directly into Fang Ping's arm. His eyes were full of fierceness. If you don't listen to good words, then you will be destroyed, and there will be no future troubles. The reason why he persuaded Fang Ping in a good voice was because he knew that Fang Ping had excellent understanding and was a genius. If Fang Ping could be persuaded to join Jinchanmen, it would be a great achievement. He can also take this opportunity to befriend Fang Ping, who will definitely be valued after joining the Golden Toad Gate. But unfortunately, Fang Ping did not listen to his advice. If that's the case, he must be ruthless. Although because Wang Hongtao wants to see Fang Ping, he can't kill him now. But you can't kill, and you can't hurt. Fang Ping's savvy is so high that once he grows up, he is definitely not something he can resist. If that's the case, then he's now ruining the genius Fang Ping. How are you so savvy? I completely interrupted and smashed your limbs, and destroyed the foundation of your martial arts practice. Your understanding is so high, it is useless. Still want to fight me? I've been training hard day and night for several years, and you can deal with it in just a few days. It's ridiculous. Zhu Wen's inner anger gathered in his fist, smashing Shi Shiping's arm violently. Boom. With a muffled sound, Zhu Wen was stunned. I saw Fang Ping holding an umbrella, standing idly and motionless, with a strange black film blocking him. His punch was hitting the black film. The black film does not look thick. However, his powerful punch, full of inner chi, did not even raise a wave of black film. Too weak. Weakness is like an ant, which makes me not interested in doing it at all. Fang Ping sighed and said, digging his ears. No, impossible. Zhu Wen's face was full of disbelief, and his face even turned red. Bang bang bang. Immediately, Zhu Wen didn't believe in evil and began to frantically bombard the black membrane, but no matter how he bombarded, no matter how hard he tried, no matter how hard he used his whole body. However, the thin black film still did not cause any fluctuations. Fang Ping quietly looked at the crazy Zhu Wen and shook his head again. This dude is really stupid. After so long, I still haven't found out that I have been poisoned. If it wasn't for the things that broke my limit still with you, you are already dead now and can't die anymore. The reason why the black membrane is black is because it contains countless mixed toxins of sand poison and toad poison. Wrong. After bombarding for a while, Zhu Wen suddenly reacted and looked at Fang Ping with a blushing face. This is not the martial arts of the boxing gym, what the hell are you people? Fang Ping blinked and pointed to his hand. No, I think instead of being curious about this now, you might as well look at your hands first. Hearing this, Zhu Wen's eyes were instantly shocked, and he quickly looked at his sin. I saw that his hands were completely black at this time, and even his 10 fingers had begun to erode. What? With a scream, Zhu Wen instantly fell to the ground with his hands in his arms, screaming frantically. Because Zhu Wen still needed to bring himself to get the limit-breaking thing that belonged to him, Fang Ping deliberately delayed the toxicity. Otherwise, not long after he touched the black membrane, he would have been poisoned and even the corpse would have rotted. Senior Zhu, thank you for helping me keep it before, and now take me to get my broken things, or you will suffer even more. Fang Ping chuckled and kicked Zhu Wen, who was already rolling on the ground in pain, and said. Like this. Fang Ping's thoughts moved. What? More shrill and painful screams came from Zhu Wen's mouth. In this more intense pain, Zhu Wen couldn't even roll in pain. The whole person twitched like crazy. Even the cold torrential rain slapped randomly on his face did not relieve him the slightest pain. Zhu Wen secretly rented a room. Fang Ping was holding a suitcase and looked at the contents of the box with strange eyes. And Zhu Wen, like a dead dog, was lying on the corner of the wall, trembling all over, twitching from time to time. In the suitcase, there is a 2-finger-sized test tube filled with blue liquid. In this blue liquid, a small piece of crimson flesh was soaked. Next to the test tube, there are also 6 dark elixir. Fang Ping's eyes were mainly focused on the blue reagent that contained crimson flesh. In his induction, there is a surge of energy in the liquid of this reagent. This is the energy I want. Fang Ping's eyes were faintly excited. But looking at the blue liquid soaked in red blood in the test tube, he suddenly murmured a little. Is this something to drink directly? But he didn't even know what the liquid was. What should I do if I drink indiscriminately? What's more, how he looked at the crimson flesh soaked in the blue liquid had a familiar feeling. It was as if he had seen something similar somewhere before. After trying hard to recall, Fang Ping's eyes were suddenly surprised. The eyes that looked at the crimson flesh again became extremely shocked. My grass, this is the flesh and blood of monsters. Including the human-faced ghost tree, Fang Ping met and killed a real monster with his own hands. It is not unfamiliar to the flesh and blood of monsters. He didn't think about it before, because he didn't think about it in that direction. After all, this is the limit-breaking thing that warriors need to break through the limits of the human body. How can you use the flesh and blood of monsters? This piece of crimson flesh, although the flesh and blood of the 3 monsters he killed were different. But Fang Ping's unique aura that belongs to monsters can't be wrong. This crimson flesh and blood is the flesh and blood of a monster. Knowing this, he quickly figured out some of the things, and frowned deeply. So, those warriors used the flesh and blood of monsters to break through the limits of the human body. Fang Ping looked at the dark night sky with heavy rain outside the window, and said in a low voice with a dazed expression. As the human body still too limited, he guessed that those warriors who broke through the limits of human beings must be integrating certain abilities of monsters into themselves. Even the limit-breaking warriors who use this method to break through the limits of the human body. In a sense, it may have been equivalent to a weakened version of the monster. It's just that these limit-breaking warriors also have their own reason and thoughts. In this case, it is not difficult to understand. Why is the strength of those who have broken the limit so much higher than those who have not broken the limit? Because they are already weakened versions of monsters. How could an ordinary warrior be a monster's opponent? Looking at the blue reagent containing the flesh and blood of the monster in front of him, Fang Ping's expression changed a few times, and he finally put it back. He decided to slow down for a while. Although the form after his transformation is more ferocious and evil than those monsters. But he was trained in martial arts. Turn yourself into a weakened version of the monster. To be honest, he didn't want to. Hypocritical, it seems a bit. What's more, why did he become a monster that could be killed by himself? And many more. Suddenly, Fang Ping patted his head. Damn, I almost didn't turn my head around. It seems that I was a little stunned by this truth. Fang Ping suddenly shook his head and smiled somewhat self-deprecatingly. My purpose now is energy. No matter how I think about it, I just think about whether I want to become a monster. Glancing at the blue reagent, Fang Ping closed the suitcase directly. Tomorrow, ask the owner of the museum, where did this blue reagent come from, and whether the energy in the liquid is inherent in the liquid itself, or is it diffused from the flesh and blood of the monster. After thinking about it clearly, Fang Ping was no longer confused. His purpose from beginning to end is energy. As long as the energy is sufficient, he can continue to improve his martial arts realm. And as long as the strength can continue to improve, what is the so-called limit of the human body? What if he does not break it? Hey, are you dead? Tell me if you are not dead, how are you going to use these things to break through the limits of the human body? Fang Ping asked Zhu Wen's, who was twitching and trembling like a dead dog. Zhu Wen's raised his head convulsively, only to see that his face was completely eroded, and pieces of disgusting flesh were dripping continuously. The eyes looking at Fang Ping were full of resentment. Ah. Suddenly, Zhu Wen screamed, slammed into Fang Ping with a sudden burst of strength. Seeing the rotten and disgusting Zhu Wen slam into him, Fang Ping frowned suddenly. Then Fang Ping, who was afraid of getting his hands dirty, instantly burst into a pale white light. Just wave. Snapped. A pale light flashed by. Zhu Wen's head exploded instantly. But at this moment, Fang Ping stared at him suddenly. This feeling, raising his hand, looking at the pale light of the primordial gang qi surging in his hand, Wan Ping's eyes were filled with shock. It can't be wrong, it's vitality. On the way back, he was carefully condensing and extracting his own vitality into the acupuncture points. So he is very familiar with the feeling of vitality. And just now, when he blasted Zhu Wen's head with primordial gang qi, Qian Li Jiao, he actually felt a ray of vitality melt into his body. He looked suspiciously at the pale light in his hand that was full of barren and deadly silence. Fang Ping squatted down directly. The palm with pale light emerged directly on Zhu Wen's headless corpse. The next second, Fang Ping's pupils shrank suddenly. I saw Zhu Wen's corpse. After touching the pale light on his hand, it began to quickly wither and dry up. And with these changes of the corpse, the vitality of the Japanese stocks poured into Fang Ping's trapped inner formation. FK. The shocked Fang Ping subconsciously said a dirty word. After the Arhat purification technique was raised to the 4th floor, the pale light that appeared from the primordial gang qi. It can actually absorb the life force of people. Master, there seems to be something wrong with my body, can you check it for me? The next day, I came to the boxing gym and just walked outside the hall. Fang Ping heard Bai Manya say to Luo Yongye. Hearing this, Fang Ping glanced at Bai Manya and Luo Yongye in shock, and immediately retreated. Stop. Seeing Fang Ping's expression, Luo Yang immediately stopped Fang Ping angrily. You are young, what do you think about all day long? Luo Yongye looked at Fang Ping angrily and scolded. Misunderstanding, misunderstanding, Fang Ping explained with a smile. Well, who are you? At this time, Luo Yongye suddenly narrowed his eyes and stared at the suitcase in Fang Ping's hand. Fang Ping smiled lightly. When I went back last night, I met that senior brother Zhu. He wanted to kidnap me to Jinshan Gate. I didn't want to, and after a hard fight, I had to kill him. Then, the box fell into my hands. Well done. Why did you call that traitor senior brother? If it wasn't for the people from Jinshanmen who stopped me last night, I would have punched him to death that night. Before Luo Yongye spoke, Bai Manya, who was beside him, said angrily. Fang Ping glanced at him. His second senior sister's temper was really hot. Open your mouth and shut your mouth, and you will be killed with one punch. What are you looking at? What happened just now has not yet been settled with you. Next time you dare to think about such a mess, believe it or not, I'll beat you to bed for a month. Seeing Fang Ping looking at him, Bai Manya glared at Fang Ping fiercely. Don't dare, don't dare. Fang Ping begged for mercy with a smile. At this time, Luo Yongye looked at Fang Ping in surprise. Although the traitor's behavior makes me very angry, but his strength is still good, you can kill him. It was just a fluke. He thought that I only learned martial arts, underestimated my strength, and was killed by me in a sneak attack. Fang Ping explained. But while explaining, Fang Ping couldn't help feeling the danger of this world again. Killing in the mouths of these warriors is like greeting each other. Human life, in this world, is really light enough. Hearing Fang Ping's explanation, Luo Yongye nodded, thinking that the explanation was reasonable. As for Zhu Wen's death, he didn't take it to heart at all. Because in his heart, his apprentice had already died the night before. And AJCH and the heartache, he had already finished the heartache the night before. Now he has let go. Not to mention, he now has a new love, Fang Ping. No, he is a sweetheart and a good disciple. Even more, I will not think about Zhu Wen's affairs to discourage myself. But that's fine, your current strength can already try to break through the limits of the human body, and you can just use this limit-breaking thing. Luo Yongye said with a smile. He felt that his disciple, not only had an excellent understanding and character, but also seemed to be very lucky. It was obviously the thing that broke the limit prepared for the traitor before, but now it just happened to fall into the hands of him who was in need of this thing. It was as if it was meant to be. He felt that he liked this apprentice more and more. Later, because Bai Manya was already a martial artist, he did not shy away from Bai Manya, and directly told Fang Ping how to break through the limits of the human body. It's basically the same as Fang Ping's guess last night. The level-breaking martial artist is actually a weakened version of the monster in a sense. Master, but if that's the case, is that still a human? Fang Ping asked with a frown. Hearing this, Luo Yang smiled bitterly. Fang Ping, this method is indeed difficult to accept for a while, but do you think it is more important than death? If you don't rely on this method, how can humans fight against powerful monsters? The limitations of the human body are too great. Luo Yongye sighed with emotion. Only in this way can human beings survive the threat of monsters. Fang Ping thought about it and found that it was the truth. After all, only alive is qualified to talk about other things. In his place, if he was threatened with death, he would never hesitate to use this method to survive. It is because his strength is strong enough that he thinks that there is no such thing. Do not persuade others to be kind without suffering others. Don't let others use this method. Is it difficult to let others die when they encounter monsters and be eaten as food? Master, where did the blue liquid full of energy come from? Fang Ping asked the main purpose of this time. That kind of energy liquid is called evil energy inhibitor, which can suppress the activity and energy intensity of the monster's flesh and blood. It is a necessity for every martial artist to break through the limits of the human body. It is said that it was researched by the Sha Kingdom Monster Research Institute and needs to be purchased from the special mediator. Luo Yongye replied. Hearing this, Fang Ping frowned imperceptibly. It seems that, after all, we still have to deal with the authorities. Because the energy in a fell energy suppressor would definitely not be able to meet his growing energy needs. But to get a lot of fell energy inhibitors, it is inevitable to deal with the special mediator. Fang Ping felt a little headache. And when Fang Ping secretly had a headache, Luo Yang and Shiratori Ya continued their previous conversation. Master, I found that a poison suddenly appeared in my inner chi. When I fought with that person from Jin Chanmin last night, his poison didn't work on me at all, and even after I beat him for a while, he was poisoned by the poison in my breath. Bai Manya said very sadly. What? Hearing her words, Luo Yongye was shocked, and quickly walked over to check on Bai Manya. Fang Ping, who heard her words, was also surprised. But his eyes were more strange. When he poisoned Bai Manya, he had clearly controlled the toxicity of those toxins. Logically speaking, it should not spread. And looking at Bai Manya like this, it doesn't look like something is wrong. After all, with the terrifying toxicity of his poisons, if something really went wrong, Bai Yayi would have been poisoned long ago. Because of the evil god modifier, the sand poison condensed by his iron sand palm became very strange. It was as if there was life. After practicing Toad Gong, the toad poison that appeared was the same. So before, he was able to control the toxicity of these poisons with a single thought. But if nothing goes wrong, what happened to Shiratoriya? Boxing gym, inside the hall. Knowing that the poison he put on Bai Manya had changed, Fang Ping felt it immediately. He found that although his toxin had spread in Bai Manya's body, it even merged into her inner chi. But still under his control. As long as his thoughts move, all those toxins can explode in an instant, killing them directly. Cough. Since those toxins were still under control, Fang Ping didn't pay too much attention to it. Anyway, because of his previous control, these toxins are not harmful to Bai Manya. Although there was a little change that Fang Ping did not expect before, it merged into Bai Manya's body. After all, because of the evil god modifier, these toxins have become very strange. Even Fang Ping, the owner, doesn't fully understand all its properties. But it's alright, these resus are completely under his control anyway. And because of the existence of these toxins in the body, Bai Manya also got a series of benefits. Her strength, especially lethality, has been greatly improved. Secondly, because these strange toxins come from Fang Ping, her resistance to the strange power of monsters has become stronger. Even her physical body became stronger because of the toxins that were integrated into her body. Killing 3 birds with 1 stone is simply a benefit and no harm. Perhaps the only, minuscule downside, is that the ultimate control over these toxins belongs to Fang Ping. But that's not a disadvantage. Anyway, as long as she doesn't have any bad thoughts about Fang Ping in the future, this shortcoming doesn't exist at all. After all, Fang Ping wouldn't do anything to her. Alas, this world is too dangerous. To be a human being, you still have to save some for yourself. Thinking of Bai Manya's situation, Fang Ping's eyes flickered a few times. You are in good health, even better than before. The toxin in your body doesn't seem to do you any harm, and it even greatly enhances your strength. After checking Bai Manya's body, Luo Yongye said with a frown. Yes, but I have absolutely no idea what's going on. Where do these toxins come from? Hearing Luo Yongye's words, Bai Manya said in a daze. Maybe it's the awakening of your bloodline, or some incomprehensible change in your cultivation of the righteousness of the heavenly heart. Luo Yongye guessed uncertainly. Isn't the bloodline awakening supposed to have various visions? But I didn't have any visions, it's just that there are more poisons in my body. Bai Manya was very puzzled, and then she frowned slightly. Could it really be that what has changed in my cultivation of the heavenly heart righteous fa? Tianxin Zhengfa is a practice practiced after cultivating Tianxin Kuan to break through the limits of the human body. Luo Yongye frowned and thought hard for a while, then suddenly his spirit was shaken. Is that the reason? Hearing this, Bai Manya looked at him immediately, and Fang Ping also looked at him in surprise. I want to see what reasons he can come up with to help himself explain the reasons for these toxins. I remember my father mentioned it once at the beginning, saying that it is our heavenly heart's cultivation technique, and after being promoted to the virtual realm, a huge flaw will be exposed. Because the cultivation method of Tianxin is focused on comprehending Tianxin, sensing nature, and is very closely related to the external environment. When the external environment undergoes great changes, we will also be affected. But what the specific defect is and why it will be exposed after the virtual realm, my father doesn't seem to know. It is said that until my father left Qingshu Mountain, many seniors in the Tianxin lineage were still seeking a method for this. Luo Yongye said while recalling what his father said to him back then. Hearing his words, Fang Ping next to him blinked. What a perfect explanation. If it wasn't for the fact that he knew that Baimonya's poison was his own, I'm afraid he would have believed it. But soon, a gleam of light flashed in Fang Ping's eyes. Such a perfect explanation, if you don't use it, it would be a waste. Tianxin Fist Gym is now facing the threat of the Golden Toad Gate. As a member of the gym, I have the responsibility and the obligation to enhance the strength of the gym. That's right, that's it. I want to enhance the strength of the boxing gym, so as to deal with the secret door. Then, the finger tapped very secretly. Is that so? Well, then I don't have to worry about these poisons, right? Baimonya looked at Luo Yongye in confusion and asked. Well, don't worry for the time being, the flaws in the exercises will only appear after the virtual realm. Luo Yongye nodded, but there is still confusion in his eyes. It's just that what I don't understand is that I'm cultivating the righteous law of heaven's heart. Why doesn't this poison appear in my body? That's because I didn't think of poisoning you before. Fang Ping thought silently beside him. However, with Luo Yongye's perfect explanation, he will be able to use poison in an open and honest way in the future. After all, this is caused by the flaws of our heavenly heart and one sect. It doesn't matter to me. Perfect, so that the strength he can reveal can be a lot stronger. Next, after Fang Ping withdrew, Luo Yongye soon discovered the toxin that suddenly appeared in his body. This made him more convinced of his own thoughts. Fang Ping had no psychological burden for poisoning Luo Yongye, a master he respected. After all, this toxin can greatly enhance their strength, and it is not harmful to them. Just like, you bought a house for your parents, but your name is written on the book. Is this excessive? Does it require a lot of psychological pressure? So Fang Ping felt very at ease. However, after figuring out the source of the fell energy suppressor, Fang Ping now wants to find those people in the Golden Toad Gate. The 7 empty acupoints in his body were like 7 babies waiting to be fed. They are all hungry and screaming. Are those people in Jinchangmen the enemy? It is clearly a moving humanoid life force charging treasure. Boom. In a room somewhere in Haichuan, Wang Hongtao smashed the table next to him with one palm. What did you say? Chang'er is dead. Wang Hongtao had an extremely angry look on his face, staring at the disciple of the Golden Chan clan in front of him who came back to report the situation. Yes, the disciple has brought back the body of the senior brother. Looking at the situation of the senior brother's body, it seems that he was poisoned by some kind of poison. The disciple replied cautiously and tremblingly. Poisoned. Hearing this, Wang Hongtao's expression was slightly taken aback. Their poison toad lineage specializes in poison art, but as a result, his most valued apprentice was poisoned to death. Take me there right now, Wang Hongtao said with an extremely gloomy expression. Inside a special morgue in Haichuan, looking at the corroded and eroded inhuman corpse in front of him. Wang Hongtao covered his mouth and nose with a handkerchief, his expression extremely gloomy. The anger surging in his eyes seemed to erupt like a volcano in the next moment. Master, my condolences. An apprentice next to Wang Hongtao approached and persuaded him with a face full of grief. It's just that he looked at the corpse in the depths of his eyes, but was full of excitement. This shit guy is finally dead. Without his hindrance, this time, the master's resources would be fully devoted to himself. The disciple was very excited. Boom. But the next moment, Wang Hongtao was furious and directly backhanded, knocking the disciple to the ground. Shut up. Is he heartache for this idiot? He is heartache for the good source of poison in his body. How much time he spent, how much energy he spent, and how much resources he spent, the group cultivated a good source of poison. It's gone. Then how long will it take for his poison toad art to improve? If the poison toad technique doesn't go further, what will he use to remove the sub-word in front of his deputy sect master? Cracked fists. Wang Hongtao's face was full of anger, and his voice was a little hoarse. Okay, Tianxin Boxing Gym, it's really good, I really underestimate you. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. After controlling his emotions, Wang Hongtao asked directly, who did Chang'er go to yesterday? Among the trembling Jinchangmen disciples behind him, one walked out and answered cautiously. It's a person named Fang Ping, because that Zhu Wen said that this person's understanding is excellent, and there will be someone to protect him, so you sent senior brother Cheng there before. Kill him. Wang Hongtao still closed his eyes. Also, gather everyone. Shoo. Suddenly opening his eyes, Wang Hongtao's eyes were full of fierce light, and his expression was even more sinister. Tonight, I'm going to destroy Tianxin Boxing Gym. Yes, all the disciples of the Golden Toad sect responded in unison. It seems that the Tianxin Boxing Gym is not easy. In the special mediation office, Jin Feng looked at the toxicity test report in his hand. Tianxin Fist Gym, there is still this kind of poison. And when he saw the photo of the poisoned Jin Chanmin's corpse in the report, Jin Feng's eyes instantly froze. It's very similar to Yuan Bawei's death. By the way, in this case, everything is right. Yuan Bawei and the others were not killed by any monster at all, they were simply the hands of people from Tianxin Fist Gym. After looking at the photo, it was very similar to the previous businessman Chong Bawei. Jin Feng connected everything at once. Jin Chanmin has always coveted Tianxin Boxing Hall. Yuan Bawei was helping Jin Chanmin, so Tianxin Boxing Hall killed Yuan Bawei. They were completely misled by this kind of poison before they thought they were killed by monsters. When Jin Feng turned to the last page of the toxicity report and saw the conclusion of the report, he was shocked. Conclusion. This toxin has a peculiar nature, extremely strong toxicity, has a series of characteristics such as polluting energy, fast diffusion, and is difficult to guard against. It has a strong threat to existences below the soul level. Additional. According to the results of the toxicity test of demonized organisms, the toxin has the same effect on demonized organisms, and it is speculated that the toxin also has a certain threat to spirit-level monsters. Looking at these two lines, Jin Feng's eyes were full of surprise. This poison is actually a threat to monsters. Where did Tianxin Fist Gym get this kind of good stuff? Chen Ming. Jin Feng suddenly said. Jin Chu, a young man not far away, came over immediately. From now on, you will lead me to pay close attention to the situation of those people in Jin Chanmin and Tianxin Fist Gym. Jin Feng narrowed his eyes slightly and ordered. Yes. In a blink of an eye, the time of the day passed. Night falls. After a day's time, those who had practiced Tianxin Kuan to a high level in the gym were poisoned by Fang Ping. Because of the enhancement of the strength of the toxin, the strength of Tianxin Fist Gym has also been greatly improved. Especially the old man Lin, because of the enhancement of the toxin to the body, his strength has not been able to advance for many years. At this time, there were even faint signs of a breakthrough. It is estimated that it will not be long before Tianxin Fist Gym will have another warrior who can try to break through the limits of the human body. Watching the strength of the boxing gym improve, a thriving scene. Luo Yongye is naturally the happiest person. If it weren't for the threat of the Golden Toad Gate, he's probably going to play the crown to celebrate. What about the people from the Golden Toad Gate? Have they given up? Walking quietly on the road, Fang Ping sensed his surroundings with some doubts. In order to make it easier for Jin Chanmin to attack him, he also chose a very remote way, with no surveillance or passers-by. But the people from the Golden Toad sect never showed up. It was as if he had given up on him. This made Fang Ping a little distressed. If it weren't for the fact that he didn't know the positions of those people in the Golden Toad sect, why would he use such a passive method? Suddenly, Fang Ping's face brightened. He sensed that there were people from the Golden Toad Gate nearby. Immediately, Fang Ping rushed towards the location of those people. He can't wait to see them. My chargers. I am coming. Grass, where did Ping go? On the wide road, a group of people from the Golden Toad Gate looked around, and someone cursed impatiently. They were the people Wang Hongtao sent to kill Fang Ping. Just be content. It's better to just deal with a newcomer Fang Ping than to go over there and besiege the Tianxin Fist Gym. Besides, senior brother, he is here, a Fang Ping is not an easy task. That is, what senior brother is there, Ding Fang Tianni? The disciples looked at the man in front and complimented. The man's face was still a little swollen, and it was the disciple who was slapped to the ground by Wang Hongtao. Okay, don't talk about it, find that kid quickly. Otherwise, if this matter is messed up, you should know the consequences. The man said coldly. Hearing this, everyone else was shocked, and immediately looked for Fang Ping even more attentively. A somewhat unexpected breeze blew past. But none of these people felt that something was wrong. But at this time, a voice sounded among them. So it's so hard for you to find me. The moment the voice sounded, everyone's eyes turned to the middle. I saw that in the middle of their group of people, I don't know when, there was an extra figure. The tall figure, the strong figure, and the determined face were partly covered by the shadows under the street lamps. Those eyes full of smiles, excitement and other emotions, but incomparably deep, were looking at them with a smile. He's Fang Ping, a golden toad sect exclaimed. Everyone was shocked. Fang Ping, how could he suddenly appear among them? But it hasn't waited for them to figure it out. An evil and brilliant pale light instantly illuminated Fang Ping's excited smile, and everyone's eyes bloomed. The moon is bright tonight. It's just that the moonlight seems to be cooler than usual. On the side of the road, some dim lights were shining. But below the street lamp, a more brilliant pale light overshadowed the dim yellow light. A strong evil pale light bloomed all over his body, and Fang Ping stood there with a face full of enjoyment. And around him, the disciples of the Golden Toad sect were rapidly getting old. The skin is withering, the flesh is withering. Right, that is it. That's it. Feeling the life force that was rapidly pouring into the body and sealed in the acupoints, Fang Ping laughed excitedly. Continue. Fang Ping's arms trembled with excitement. The pale white light that bloomed all over the body was even more dazzling. The speed of the influx of vitality is even more rapid, and the speed of the old people around them is also more rapid. Magic. Monster. Not far away, the man who fell to the ground and was called Senior Brother He by others, saw this strange scene in front of him. His face was full of horror, and his eyes were completely occupied by fear. His whole body was trembling uncontrollably, and his teeth had begun to chatter. The next second, a terrified scream came out of his mouth. This Senior Brother He immediately rolled and crawled and ran away into the distance. Boom! The next moment, he bumped into a thick thigh. Confused and fell to the ground. He raised his head in horror. The pupils instantly shrank into dots. His face became even more pale in an instant. I saw the figure that had terrified him to the extreme before standing quietly in front of him. With his back facing the light of the street lamp, Fang Ping's entire face was shrouded in shadows. What are you running for? Under the shadow, Fang Ping showed a gentle smile as he looked down at the only remaining Golden Toad sect. Brother He opened his mouth, wanting to ask for mercy. But because he was too scared, he couldn't make any sound when the words came to his mouth. Just open your mouth like a mute. Don't be afraid, now you take me to find the rest of your golden Chanman, and I'll let you go, how about it? Fang Ping said softly with a smile, like a big brother. Hearing his words, this Senior Brother He first short-circuited his mind, and then immediately nodded frantically. Very well, I like obedient people. Fang Ping picked up the man with a smile and walked towards the distance. A cool breeze blows gently. And at this time, a group of mummified corpses not far behind him, which were already withered, fell to the ground in a daze. A flame instantly erupted in the bodies of these mummified corpses and spewed out. In an instant, it turned into a raging fire. The owner of Tianxin Pavilion handed it over to me to deal with, and all the others were killed. In a far corner of Tianxin Boxing Gym, Wang Hongtao looked at the dozen or so disciples behind him and said, most of these disciples are not limit-breaking warriors. Only 2 people have pushed the limits of the human body. If you count his dead eldest disciple and himself. Among the people who entered Haichuan this time from Jinchanmen, there were 4 breaking-level warriors. And this is still part of the power of the Golden Toad Gate. But Tianxin Fist Gym has only 3 limit-breaking warriors. It's no wonder that Zhu Wen's would turn his back on the battle, betray the division, and join the Jinchanmen. The 2 sides are actually quite different in strength. Yes, after hearing Wang Hongtao's order, all the disciples responded in unison. Glancing at the crescent moon in the sky, Wang Hongtao looked at the Tianxin Fist Gym in the distance, clenching his fists. Especially when he thinks that his eldest disciple who spent a lot of resources to cultivate has died like this. His face became even more hideous. Tonight, everyone in Tianxin Boxing Gym must die. Oh, really? Suddenly, the voice of the sun sounded behind everyone. Wang Hongtao's eyes burst into flames in an instant, and he looked back at once. Bang 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 bang. What caught his eyes were the burst heads of the Golden Toad sect disciples. In an instant, blood splattered. A strong bloody smell spreads. Swish. The next moment, a figure instantly appeared in front of him. Wang Hongtao's pupils shrank, and the darkened skin all over his body instantly turned pitch black. The body swelled, exposed on the skin outside the clothes, and the face began to swell one after another with pustules. A foul stench quickly spread from these pustules. You really made yourself a toad. Looking at the changes in Wang Hongtao in front of him, Fang Ping said with some disgust and some surprise. Call. The air burst instantly. Wang Hongtao, who is experienced in all corners of the world, did not answer his words. Because he knew this was the enemy in front of him. And the enemy, killing him is the best answer. With a bang, two pitch black palms that expanded in a circle slammed into the black membrane in front of Fang Ping. After a slight fluctuation in the black membrane, it calmed down. Seeing this scene, Fang Ping raised his brows. It can shake my black mask, the strength is not bad. But looking at the strange black film that seemed to be motionless in front of him, Wang Hongtao trembled in his heart. Incompetent. Boom. The concrete floor under his feet burst instantly. I saw Wang Hongtao's figure suddenly retreat. But the next moment, before he could turn his body around, his head stopped in the air. The strong inertia on his body made his body slam forward fiercely. But his head didn't move at all. Because a strong and powerful hand like a steel hoop directly grabbed his neck and lifted him up. What gave you the illusion of walking away from me? Fang Ping looked curiously at the Wang Hongtao in his hand. I've been poisoned. My poison, you're dead. He was strangled by Fang Ping, but Wang Hongtao had an ugly smile on his face. It was very difficult to squeeze out a few words from the swollen throat. Poison. Hearing his words, Fang Ping suddenly laughed. You don't think that the garbage on your body that kills ants at most is also called poison? The next moment, Wang Hongtao immediately felt the terrifying toxin that invaded and spread to his entire body. In front of these toxins, the poison art in his body is as fragile as white paper. There was no resistance at all, and it was swallowed up in an instant. At the same time, a piercing pain rushed into my heart instantly. Wang Hongtao's eyes suddenly stared, and he wanted to scream, but because his neck was tightly strangled, he couldn't let out a scream. Under this severe pain, his eyes quickly turned red. But there was more disbelief in his eyes. How is it possible? He had been practicing poison art all his life, but he was so vulnerable. Looking at the red eyes, Wang Hongtao, whose eyes were full of shock and unwillingness. Fang Ping directly grabbed his neck and dragged him all the way to the dozen or so corpses behind him. And in the process of dragging, Wang Hongtao's body is also aging rapidly. Tian Sha. The feast of life has begun. The next morning. Golden Place. In the Haichuan Special Mediation Office, a young man ran into Jin Feng's office in shock. What's the matter? In such a panic. Seeing this person's appearance, Jin Feng frowned and said solemnly. Jin Chu, Wang Hongtao, and the people from Jin Chan sect he brought are all dead. Chen Ming swallowed and looked at Jin Feng and said. What? All dead? Hearing Chen Ming's words, Jin Feng also stood up from his chair. Are you really sure? Jin Feng frowned and looked at Chen Ming, confirming. It's absolutely inseparable. Jin Chu, you see, this is the surveillance video I picked up from a store outside Tianjin Fist Gym this morning, you'll know after watching it. Chen Ming handed the tablet in his hand to Jin Feng. On the computer screen, there is a video recording that is being paused. Jin Feng took the tablet and clicked play directly. The video on the screen starts playing. It was last night that Fang Ping easily killed Wang Hongtao during the whole process. At the end of the video, Fang Ping dragged Wang Hongtao, who looked like a dead dog, out of the screen. Fortunately, perhaps because it was at night and the light was insufficient, Fang Ping's face was so blurry in the video that he could barely make out a silhouette. After watching this video, Jin Feng's face showed a touch of shock. Although Wang Hongtao is not the strongest among limit-breaking warriors, he is definitely not weak. To be able to kill him so easily, the strength of this person, even if he has not completed the second breakthrough, it is estimated that it is already approaching infinitely. Jin Feng scratched his hair with some headache. He felt a little irritable. The suspected soul-level monster has not been found before, so why is there another guy who is suspected of breaking the limit twice? This sea and river is not a geomantic treasure, why these almost invisible existences appear one after another? Normally, the limit-breaking warriors who have broken through the limits of the human body are already able to fight against spirit-level monsters. After the martial artist has broken the limit twice and became more powerful, he has the strength to fight against soul-level monsters. But because the power of the monster is even more strange, the body is far stronger than the martial artist. Therefore, warriors of the same level are basically unable to defeat monsters. Of course, this is without the help of external aids. If it is like the previous monster incident in Linxing district, the centipede monster was directly injured by the special dispatch with special light explosive bombs, and at the same time used the magic suppressing field to suppress its strength. Then this peak spirit level monster that failed to advance to the soul level, those powerful limit-breaking warriors, can also kill it. Special mediation is a state agency, and theoretically it should be in existence that overrides all martial artists. But there is a difference between reality, type and theory. Haichuan City is not a very important city. He is also just an ordinary director of the city's special mediation office, and his strength is not very strong. In the face of a suspected second-time limit-breaking warrior who could compare to a soul-level monster, he had to be careful. After all, the more you break through the limit, because of the influence of the monster's flesh and blood, the character of most warriors will change in different tendencies. Some became better, and some became more violent. These warriors really want to go crazy, and their lethality is not much lower than that of monsters. That's why he has such a headache. Go and pick up all the surveillance footage in that area immediately, and be sure to confirm the identity of this person. After thinking about it, he said directly to Chen Ming, I have already asked someone to analyze and compare them. It will take a while, but since this person will attack Wang Hongtao and the others, it should be related to Tianxin Fist Gym. Chen Ming replied immediately, well, this idea is very likely. Jin Feng nodded and frowned deeply. Could it be the people from Qingshu Mountain? But aren't the people of Qingshu Mountain busy strengthening the seal of Demon Seal? Jin Feng kept thinking about Fang Ping's identity. The efficiency of the special mediation office was very high. After about half an hour, Chen Ming found Jin Feng again with a report. A student. Seeing the contents of the report, Jin Feng looked at Chen Ming in disbelief. Are you sure you're not mistaken? That's right, I was also shocked when the results came out. But we compared everyone in the surveillance camera who came to and from Tianxin Fist Gym recently, and we immediately locked down this student named Fang Ping. Because no matter his height or face shape, he fits perfectly, and more importantly, the clothes he wore during the day yesterday were exactly the same as the clothes of the warrior in the surveillance. Chen Ming explained very seriously. Fang Ping had been hidden for so long, but after all, he was exposed to the eyes of the Special Adjustment Office. This is too unbelievable. A student, the strength is so strong. After listening to Chen Ming's explanation, Li was even more shocked. And as he continued to read the information on Fang Ping's identity in the report, one question after another began to appear in Jin Feng's mind. This Fang Ping looks no different from an ordinary student. When did he cultivate his strength? As the director of the Special Mediation Office of Haichuan, he is very clear about the powerful warriors of Haichuan. There is no Fang Ping in it. So he was pretty sure that Fang Ping appeared out of nowhere. Immediately conduct a personality analysis based on his performance in school and in his usual daily activities. Jin Feng thought about it and said, if this Fang Ping's character is okay, you can get in touch. No matter where his strength came from, it did not prevent him from being a powerful being now. At this time, Fang Ping did not know that he had been exposed. He was frowning at the moment, observing the acupoints in his body. Zhao Hao. I should have absorbed the vitality of nearly 30 people before and after, right? I just barely filled one acupuncture point. Looking at the acupuncture point in his body that was barely filled with vitality, Fang Ping had a headache. After absorbing the vitality of so many people, he was barely able to complete the first minister. So count down. Didn't he have to absorb the life force of nearly 200 people to be able to completely seal the life force of the 7 acupoints? But thinking about how strong his physical body was at this time, Fang Ping also understood why this happened. Because the capacity of the acupoints is closely related to the strength of the body. He had already been mentally prepared before. But I really didn't expect that my appetite for these acupoints would be so great. Moreover, where did he go to find so many enemies? Headache. 2 days passed peacefully. After dealing with Wang Hongtao and others, everything seemed to have returned to calm. Because of Jin Feng's order, the special mediator did not reveal the news that Wang Hongtao and others had died. Therefore, Jin Chanmin in Dingyuan City only knew that Wang Hongtao and others were missing, but they didn't know what happened. They also tried to launch their various relationships in Haichuan City. But the Special Mediation Office is a special unit, which is a separate system and is not under the control of Haitian. Therefore, Jin Chanmin, who has never been clear, does not dare to act rashly for the time being. Luo Yongye didn't know the news that Wang Hongtao and others had died. Mr. Fang. Fang Ping just finished his breakfast and walked out of a breakfast shop. A voice suddenly stopped him. When he turned around and saw a man in the uniform of the Special Adjustment Office calling him, Fang Ping's pupils shrank slightly and his heart was shocked. Exposed. What should I do, or just kill? A series of thoughts flashed through Fang Ping's mind in an instant. At this time, Jin Feng, who was standing opposite him, was shocked by the flash of killing intent on Fang Ping's body. Mr. Fang, we are not here to trouble you, Jin Feng explained immediately. Looking at Jin Feng, it didn't look like he was looking for trouble. Moreover, the other party, who is a few decades old, respectfully calls himself Mr. Fang, and it does not seem to be looking for trouble. Fang Ping calmed down all the thoughts in his mind for a while, let out a breath, and looked at the other party. What do you want from me? Jin Feng looked at the passers-by around him in embarrassment. Mr. Fang, it's inconvenient to speak here, can you take a step to speak? After glancing at the other party and making sure that he could kill him in an instant and escape, Fang Ping nodded. Can. Then the two came to a fast food restaurant not far away that was similar to KFC in the previous life. It's just that there were no other customers in the restaurant at this time. Mr. Fang, I'm Jin Feng, the director of the city's Special Mediation Office. After sitting down, Jin Feng introduced himself and showed Fang Ping his credentials. Director Jin, it seems that your people are very afraid that I will hurt you. Sensing the people hiding outside the restaurant, Fang Ping looked at Jin Feng with a half smile and said, Hee, Mr. Fang is too strong. No matter what I say, they won't listen. I hope Mr. Fang doesn't mind. After all, if Mr. Fang really wants to hurt me, it will make no difference with them or without them. Jin Feng said with a slightly embarrassed smile. Indeed, otherwise I wouldn't have come in with you. Fang Ping said with a chuckle. Hearing this, Jin Feng's heart froze, and the expression on his face was a little stiff. As that idiot analyzing Fang Ping's approachable character. Jin Feng cursed to himself in his heart. The reason why he dared to come to Fang Ping is naturally because the character analysis of Fang Ping has come out. According to Fang Ping's performance in school and in daily life, as well as after surveying his teachers, friends, classmates and other people's comments on him. The conclusion of Fang Ping's personality analysis is that he is lively, cheerful and approachable. But now really facing Fang Ping, Jin Feng only felt that Fang Ping was moody and could not speculate at all. Just a smile or a word made his psychological pressure skyrocket. As if he didn't know the words and expressions were wrong, the person in front of him would instantly kill people. Now he can't wait to directly beat all those who analyze Fang Ping's character. Looking at Jin Feng's uneasy look, Fang Ping was no longer as nervous as before. After all, that's it. The worst is to flip the table. Don't be nervous, I'm not a bad person. Fang Ping smiled lightly. In fact, the usual Jin Feng would not be so rude at all. Even in the face of those monsters that are far stronger than him, he will be afraid, but he will not be so rude. Because if it's a big deal, you will sacrifice your life for the country. But because of the analysis of the character report, he felt that Fang Ping could be recruited. But as soon as we met, I found that Fang Ping's personality was completely different from the previous analysis adage and his psychology was naturally at a loss. Plus the natural fear brought about by the gap in strength. This feeling of uncertainty in his heart, mixed with fear and hope, made him not as calm as usual. How did you find me? Returning the documents to Jin Feng, Fang Ping squinted and asked while leaning against the chair. Because of this, Jin Feng took out a tablet and handed it to Fang Ping. Jin Feng, who gradually stabilized his mentality, also recovered some of his usual composure at this time. But because he knew Fang Ping was not easy to mess with, he chose to be honest. Just because of this video. After watching the video of himself killing Wang Hongtao, Fang Ping asked without any change in his face. For us, one video is enough, Kimri replied. Fang Ping, who heard Jin Fang's answer, was completely relieved. Scared me. Just found this out. Fang Ping thought they had found him by some unknown means. I already know all of my strength and the abnormal changes in my body. Now that he found out that the other party only discovered him from this video, he was immediately relieved. What does this video show? He didn't transform again. At most, it only showed a little of his strength. But it doesn't matter, anyway, he had planned to reveal some of his strength before. Then why did you come to see me this time? Fang Ping, who was completely relaxed, asked with a light smile. Jin Feng, who vaguely felt Fang Ping's vigilance let go a lot, was also slightly relieved. I would like to invite Mr. Fang to join the special mediation office. Jin Feng calmly stated his purpose. Hearing this, Fang Ping frowned, joining the special mediation office. I'm sorry. He was not used to obeying orders. And the deeper the connection with the special mediation office, the more likely it is that the official will find out the abnormality in him. Mr. Fang, don't rush to refuse. Hearing that Fang Ping was about to refuse, Li said directly. I know that Mr. Fang has joined the Tianjin Fist Gym, and I can probably guess that you don't like restraint, but in fact, the special adjustment does not have too many restraints on a powerful warrior like you. Hearing this, Fang Ping raised his brows. Tell me about it. For a powerful warrior like you, Mr. Fang, the special mediation will basically not trouble you under normal circumstances. After all, the special mediation itself can handle the general situation. Only when you encounter such a powerful monster that the special adjustment can't handle, will you trouble you. Normally, you don't need to stay in the special adjustment, you can completely deal with your own affairs. You even have the right to refuse to shoot, but if you refuse multiple tasks in a row, you will be asked to force a task, otherwise you will be punished. After hearing these words, Fang Ping was moved. If this is the case, the special mediation is not very binding on him. And most importantly, he needs a lot of fell energy inhibitors, which can only be obtained from the special mediator. In the restaurant, after hearing what Jin Feng said, Fang Ping was already moved. It seems that he felt Fang Ping's intention, and Jin Feng immediately continued to add more excitedly. Actually, Mr. Fang, after you join, you will have tasks for a long time. Because there are not many monster incidents, there are even fewer monster incidents that require your strength. After all, if there were really a lot of this kind of thing, the society would have been in chaos long ago. Fang Ping also thinks about it. If things like Linxing district often happen, then this society must have turned into a pot of porridge long ago. How can it be so prosperous as it is now? After some careful thought, Fang Ping finally nodded. Okay, if it's what you said, then I can join, but if you lie to me. Fang Ping squinted his eyes, and the atmosphere in the entire restaurant seemed to freeze directly. No, this kind of thing you can know after joining, why should I lie to you? Feeling the feeling of being on his back, Jin Feng said both excitedly and nervously. Okay, so be it, and I don't like too many people knowing me, so. Fang Ping stood up. Jin Feng immediately understood. We will keep it a secret, but about your file, we will submit it to the special mediation headquarters, I hope you understand. Because of the influence of the flesh and blood of monsters, many warriors have strange personalities. Fang Ping, who doesn't like others to know about him, is nothing compared to those real eccentricities, and it can even be said to be very normal. And what he promised was all within his authority and could be the master, and he did not violate any regulations. Fang Ping nodded with satisfaction and walked directly outside. Seeing that Fang Ping was already walking towards the door of the restaurant, Jin Feng suddenly remembered Wang Hongtao. Mr. Fang, do you want to keep the news of the death of Wang Hongtao and others a secret? Whatever, don't say I killed it. However, when he reached the door of the restaurant, Fang Ping suddenly stopped. By the way, since I have agreed to join the special mediation agency, can I buy the fell energy suppressor? Fang Ping looked back at Jin Feng and asked. Fell energy inhibitor. Jin Feng was stunned, then nodded. Of course, I don't know how much Mr. Fang needs. Hearing this, Fang Ping suddenly showed a smile. The more the better. Ha ha ha. They actually killed someone. In the whole boxing gym, Luo Yongyi's excited laughter echoed. Because Fang Ping said there was no need to keep it secret. Therefore, Luo Yongye quickly inquired about the death of Wang Hongtao and others. Although they couldn't find out who killed Wang Hongtao and those people. But it doesn't matter, they just need to know that these people are dead. After so few limit-breaking warriors died, even the deputy sect master died. Jin Chanmin's vitality has been greatly injured this time, so you don't have to worry about them anymore. Old Man Lin said with a smile. Because of the threat of the Golden Toad Gate, he has been worried all the time, and now he is finally relieved. Hearing the Old Man Lin's words, Luo Yongye suddenly sneered. Worry, now it's the Golden Toad Gate. Jin Chanmin is domineering, and he has been eyeing him over the years, and it's not just us who have committed shady hands. Hearing this, Old Man Lin and the others immediately turned to Luo Yongye. I have already been contacted by 2 sects, saying that everyone worked together to destroy the Golden Toad sect. As for the 2 ways of breaking the limits of the Golden Toad sect, we will share it with you at that time. Luo Yongye said directly. Hearing this, Old Man Lin frowned. He was more conservative and felt that this matter was a bit dangerous. The pavilion owner, although Jin Chanmin's vitality has been severely damaged this time, is it a bit risky to besiege Jin Chanmin? Luo Yongye looked at Old Man Lin. Old Lin, I know your worries, so I shouldn't get involved in this before. But now that our strength has been enhanced through the strengthening of the poison of Heaven's Heart, and even if we encounter danger, with the poison of Heaven's Heart poison, no one should dare to attack us. Our Tianxin boxing gym doesn't cause trouble, but we're not afraid of trouble. This time it was they who made the first move. They're in the first year of the first year, so don't blame us for the 15th. Luo Yongye said loudly. After listening to his words, Fang Ping, who was standing beside Bai Manya, called out in his heart that he was a good guy. It turns out that my poison gave you such a strong confidence. Otherwise, let's call it Tianxin Boxing Hall, let's call it Tiandu Boxing Hall. Because they believed that the poison in their bodies appeared after they practiced Tianxin Fist, Luo Yongye named the poison Fang Ping gave them the poison of Tianxin. Because of the strong toxicity of the Heavenly Heart poison, Luo Yongye is now full of confidence. However, Luo Yongye was not stupid and knew the danger of this trip. After all, they are going to be destroyed, and those who are wrong will definitely work hard. So he said to Old Man Lin again, Don't worry, Old Man Lin, I won't make fun of the boxing gym, this time I will take Zhou Nan and Manya there, and the others will stay in the gym. Zhou Nan is the senior brother of the boxing gym, and his strength is even stronger than Bai Manya. Luo Yongye planned for the 3 of them to go to Dingyuan City this time. After hearing this, Old Man Lin did not object. Because he knew that with the strength of Luo Yongye's 3 limit-breaking warriors, coupled with the poison of Heaven's Heart, there should be no danger. But at this moment Fang Ping frowned. He would naturally agree to attack Jin Chanmin for revenge. The 6 acupoints in his body are still empty now. But you use my poison, but don't take me to play, it means something. Master, I also lost the photo. Fang Ping spoke directly. Fang Ping, I know you want to go, but this operation is too dangerous, I'll wait for you later. Luo Yongye frowned when he saw that the disciple who was most pleasing to him was going too. It's just that before his words were finished, Fang Ping said directly. I managed to break through the limits of the human body last night. As soon as Fang Ping said this, everyone's eyes instantly turned to him. The eyes of the other disciples were shocked, but the eyes of Old Man Lin and Luo Yongye were watching Fang Ping's body. In the eyes of these 4 people, Fang Ping's pupils instantly turned into vertical pupils, and then immediately recovered. Cultivating Tianxin Kuan to break through the limits of the human body requires the flesh and blood of a monster called Phantom Scale Snake. After breaking through the limit, there will be some strange changes in the martial artist. For example, there was a pustule on Wang Hongtao's body before. The changes of Luo Yongye and Zhou Nan are all when they burst out with all their strength, some fine scales will appear on their backs. And Bai Manya's pupils can become snake pupils. Fang Ping's dragon scale cuticle is a little different from that kind of thin scale, so he chose to use the pupil changes similar to Bai Manya to prove that he has broken through the limits of the human body. It is good. Although Fang Ping's pupils changed only for a moment, several people noticed it, and Luo Yongye immediately exclaimed hello. Since you have broken through the limits of the human body, Fang Ping, you will also come with us this time. Zhou Nan, Manya, go back and have a good rest. The day after tomorrow we will set off to play coins. Fang Ping, you come with me. Luo Yongye dispersed the others and asked Fang Ping to follow him into the inner room. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.